Golf. Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop, here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
Somewhere around 400 feet off the ground, RPG came through the belly of the aircraft. When I first got out, I felt like my whole life had been smushed down to just medical appointments. I was going to occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy. We don't talk about the female combat wounded. These are our daughters and our sisters and our mothers. I'm not sure I would still be here if I didn't find the Friends and Wounded Warrior Project that I did. Because there was a long period after the injury where I really didn't understand why I was still here. It felt like I had lost everything. Wounded Warrior Project came into my life and taught me how to stand back up and get back in the fight. The truth is, I think we all have this strength inside of us, but until you're tested, you just don't know it's there.
See how Wounded Warrior Project empowers women veterans like Beth by visiting woundedwarriorproject.org/empowerwomenvets.
Hi, I'm Peter Sagal. When we were growing up, my two brothers and I just loved our Uncle Ted. He was like a really cool big brother who always brought around the best toys and took us to the best places and with whom we always had the most fun. It was odd, though, when we got older, to realize he wasn't nearly as outgoing and adventurous with other adults. I found out much later that this might have had something to do with the ostomy bag he wore ever since he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease as a teenager and had part of his lower intestine removed. Theodor Skolnick, my Uncle Ted, died last year at the age of 80, never having once mentioned his illness to me or my brothers. He left a large bequest to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation to help fund better treatments for these diseases and also to help other people, old and young, seek and get help for the situation that he was never able to talk about. Don't feel you need to hide your Crohn's or colitis. Go to spillyourguts.org to learn more about the treatments available and even find a specialist. That's spillyourguts.org.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. And Barnes hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. Morant. Oh! A jawbreaker.
It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable!
Here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
Greetings and salutations on this early Tuesday morning. We welcome you into Sports 56 Mornings. It is indeed the Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023 edition of the program. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Zach Boyd. We are in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. The world's biggest spa sale continues at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Should be another warm one today, but the relief is in sight. Later this week, it's going to start to plummet. At least the temperature is going to feel like fall, finally. But today, it's going to feel more like summer. Right now, it's 65, but the high is projected to be at 91 degrees. Mostly sunny skies tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 68. Then tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sun in the morning, followed by clouds in the afternoon with a high of 89. But starting on Thursday, again, that temperature will start to go down. Coming up on the program today, we'll talk about the Grizzlies and Media Day yesterday. I thought it was a fairly eventful day for how Media Days usually go. Some interesting things, especially one great interview, or at least Q&A session, if you want to call it that, with Derrick Rose, who's back in Memphis now, a member of the Grizzlies. Connor O'Gara joins us at 7:25 to talk college football. At 8:05, Memphis Tigers freshman guard Carl Scherenfant will join us, give us an update on what's happening over at Tigers practice as Memphis gets closer and closer to the start of their 2023-2024 college basketball season. At 8:25, we talk Major League Baseball with David Sampson from the Nothing Personal podcast, the former Marlins president. The Marlins in the postseason, 4 playoff series as far as the wild card round is concerned, and they all get underway today. So we'll talk to David and get a preview from him. At 9:05, it's our weekly Rhodes segment. Still talking Rhodes football with head coach Rich Duncan. Lynx coming off a nice win last Saturday over Southwestern University, 31-7. And then we'll be open in our final segment. We'll take calls and texts at 901-360-8255 on the Sports 56 listener lines. You can also hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or on the website at sportsmemphis.com. Got some other news and notes from the NFL. Got some NFL from last night, Monday Night Football. Not a real stellar game, but we'll talk a little NFL and some other college basketball news. It's all coming up on the program today. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't just feeling good, strong. You know, just life's good.
Feeling strong. Look at you.
Actually, I'm a little sore, but
I saw you stretching out before we started the show. I know it wasn't from lifting weights, but you played a lot of golf lately, haven't you?
I have been playing a lot of golf. Playing more golf today.
Not a bad thing, right?
Not a bad thing at all. It's part of why I feel great.
So, yesterday, I had a chance to go over to media. I know you weren't able to go, but I was over at Media Days. And usually these things are about as routine as you would expect. A little bit of, a couple of smiles and a few hugs and a hello and welcome backs and things of that nature. And the players are paraded around, and then they go through everything else they have to do. It's really a busy day for the players. I don't know if people realize this. Maybe some do. But all the little things that run during a game with the players and all the little fun games they do and things of that nature, it's all taped yesterday. It was like all that stuff is taped. All the photos, everything is done yesterday. So it is really a long day. But today they actually get on the court and they begin to practice. And some interesting things. I wanted to hear from Marcus Smart, wanted to hear from Steven Adams, but I certainly also wanted to hear from the former Memphis Tiger, Derrick Rose. And I got to tell you, Eli, I was riveted. And it's hard to believe that I'm saying this, because when Derrick Rose, 15 years ago, arrived in Memphis for his 1 year with the Tigers, a young guy, of course, about as shy and introverted as you'll ever see a person. Not that he's this boisterous guy and this extrovert and all that, but he is wise beyond his years now. He's a father of 3. He's married. And it was listening to somebody that you want to just listen to for hours. I could have sat there and listened to Derrick Rose for hours. I'm being quite honest, and I think most of my peers would agree with me. One of the most honest, eloquent media day Q&As I've ever heard. Said a lot of different things. But this one, of course, stood out, and I think it was reposted by many, many people, not only here in Memphis, but really around the country that follow the NBA. He said, quote, "I'm not here to babysit. I'm not here to be a plant in the locker room. I'm here to help us win." I love that fact. He still thinks he has something left in the tank. But he talked about from being this superstar, and he was, of course, an NBA MVP, and how the ego, even though he doesn't consider himself real egotistical, you have an ego when you're at that point and when you're one of the upper tier players in the league. And then it's not that your skills start to dissipate, but injuries start to take its toll. And then all of a sudden you become a good player, not a great player. Then you become a situational player where you're not playing as much, but you're still contributing. Then the injuries take you out and you don't play at all because of injuries. Then you had what he had last year, which was a season where he was completely healthy, he told us. And they never used him. They just did not use him in New York. So he still feels there's a little something in the tank to help out this team and do whatever it takes to help this team win. On returning to Memphis, he said, it feels like divine timing. Just great to hear from Derrick Rose.
Yeah, just interesting to hear him, talk about his growth as a person. Talking about how, basketball doesn't define him, and just kind of figuring out things about who he is and all of that. I think it's really interesting stuff from him. And, listening to him speak and everything that he said makes you feel even more. And I understand what he says. He's not here to babysit, but he's here to have an influence on Ja Morant.
And he doesn't mind that at all.
And the just listening to the way he spoke and about his just personal growth through the years and everything else, you could see where Ja needs a lot of that in his development as a person. And so certainly you think that he could have a very positive effect on Ja. Now, as he said, Ja's got to be willing to, anything like that. If you're going to be an influence on somebody, they have to be willing to accept that influence. And hopefully Ja is willing to do that. Good to hear that Ja is going to be allowed to be around the team, so that influence can be there from the get-go, even though he won't be playing in the games. But I think it's. I think he certainly. I don't know what he has left on the court. I don't expect anything out of Derrick Rose on the court, especially after the first 25 games of the year. Maybe he can contribute. I don't know, but I do think off the court, he can contribute to this team.
I agree. I look at him as a positive influence for this team, for Ja Morant specifically, for the city of Memphis. I don't expect too much. If he's going to contribute, it's going to be early in the season when Ja is out and suspended. Zach, first of all, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Zach was over there yesterday at Media Day. We got a little bit from Derrick Rose?
We do.
What do you got?
So this first clip is about him being vocal in the locker room.
Okay.
Started with my agent. Actually before then, started with me reaching out to Tony Allen to get Ja number or to get Ja dad's number, and me chopping it up, having a casual conversation with them led to my agent talking to the Grizzlies and mentioning me coming in. And that's something I never thought about. Ever since I left here, I never thought about it. But this summer, it just made sense, with everything that's going on. Me coming here, I still feel like I could play. Last year I didn't play at all, so I feel like I saved my body some wear and tear from not playing last year, and just trying to grow as a person, as a player, be more vocal, expressing myself, especially with the young guys that's on the team. I saw that potential here, that I could actually challenge myself in that way with being more vocal, and just seeing where it goes.
And that's Derrick, of course, talking about how he ended up in Memphis with the Grizzlies. Anything else from D. Rose?
Yeah, so he talked about his offseason. I thought, which I thought was interesting, considering when you have veteran players, they always bring up the offseason not being around their kids as much when the season started. So I think his comments on that were very interesting.
Right now I really haven't drove around yet because when I came back, I just was getting married, so when we came back, moving in the house, unpacking, and still trying to give my kids my undivided, because during the season, sad to say, your family comes second when you have a certain job or profession. And in the summertime, I flip the script. I do the opposite, where I'm not trying to hear nobody from the franchise or anything. I'm giving my kids my undivided until the season starts. So I was doing that until tomorrow. That's when it starts up. So talk to the coach, talk to all the staff, talk to the GM, Zach, talk to everybody, and just told them how, you have to trust me in the way, I do my work, but at the same time, I'm giving my kids all my attention during the summertime.
Has his priorities straight. I just, this interview, and again, it went on for probably about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It was absolutely outstanding. You had mentioned probably the biggest news of the day a moment ago, that Ja Morant will be allowed to practice. He will be allowed to travel. He'll be with the team. The only thing he won't be doing is playing in games. He won't be in the arena when the team plays a game, but he can be on the road. He can be at home. He could be at the arena during off days. That's good news because we didn't know where things stood before yesterday.
Yeah, there was a lot of, I guess, confusion even within the organization throughout the summer of what he was going to be allowed to do, where he would be allowed to be, when, all of that stuff. And so it's good. I mean, and I think it's smart by the NBA to allow that because, again, he didn't do something that was breaking laws and getting in trouble that way. He did something dumb that the NBA doesn't like as far as its image is concerned, but he didn't break any laws. He didn't, they're not talking about domestic violence and other things that we've seen throughout the league that guys have gotten in trouble for and got suspended for. And it makes sense for this to have him around the team. And again, around guys like Derrick Rose, around veteran guys. So taking away now, I don't know, is there a trip to Denver in the first 25 games?
Let's hope not.
I don't know. Certain spots on the road, maybe it's not good to have him with
What was
the
that
team.
place called? Shotgun Willie's?
Yeah, there may be certain,
maybe it closed down.
Maybe certain road trips that it isn't good to have him on, but I think it's probably smart to keep him occupied, keep him under and I use air quotes here, team supervision during this time. And I think that's good for him, good for the team. It makes it, again, said it all along. The NBA was going to make sure, once the schedule came out and you saw it, we all knew the NBA is going to make sure that Ja Morant is ready to play in the 26th game. They didn't allow TNT to pick. They didn't have TNT pick up that game to say, yeah, we don't know if Ja's going to play or not. You guys are just rolling the dice there. We might, extend his suspension. Now, they want Ja ready to play in that 26th game when it's on TNT.
It's always calculated when it comes to the NBA. So another one of those. Was it
the road game against Denver is in December 28th.
Okay,
so
it's afterwards.
All right, so he would already be on that trip anyway.
After he comes back.
Rehab, ready to go.
He won't be looking for a place to watch the game on the road in Denver.
Well, I don't know. They may have some late Christmas specials on December 28th and some pre-New Year's Eve specials at Shotgun Willie's. But another one of the veteran players that is now a member of the Grizzlies that certainly will have a similar role in the sense that he'll be a mentor for Ja, but that's not his primary role. That's just something that comes with the territory. But this guy is going to be called upon to be big on offense, but especially on defense, where he once was a NBA Defensive Player of the Year. I'm talking about Marcus Smart. He said things similar to Derrick Rose, that he's not a babysitter. He's here to help this team get to that next level. Number 2 in the West the last 2 years, but it's all about, and Derrick Rose said this as well, it's about the postseason. And look, I'm not alone when I say that. I don't care what you do in the regular season. It's all about the postseason. And Marcus Smart was talking about that. He also said, I'm looking forward to helping keep Jaren out of foul trouble. So I wonder how that's going to work. But that would be nice if he could.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's one of Jaren's issues, and certainly people around the league understand that. Marcus Smart, I'm sure, understands that. And if you could be a good perimeter defender that keeps guys out of the lane, things like that, that only helps Jaren Jackson.
He seems to be all in. I know it took a while. It was certainly shocking when that trade first happened for Marcus Smart. But now it seems like he has really sold on this Grizzlies team. He was all smiles. It was fun to listen to him. Steven Adams, who, of course, cut it up with everybody as he does when he does meet the media. He is a funny guy, but we were concerned about where it stood with his health. And he said, it was an interesting quote. He said, it would be irresponsible to say I'd be ready to go right now because the buildup is so important. Now, I know Taylor Jenkins talked positive about where he is health-wise. To me, kind of deciphering it, it seems like they'll take it a little bit easy in camp with Steven Adams and maybe even in the preseason games. But unless there's a setback, should be ready to go from day one as far as the regular season.
Yeah, they say he's cleared to go. So, but there's a getting in. What he has been able to do to this point, I don't know, but it's been a long time since he's played in a game. And even if you've been working out or whatever, there's a difference between being in game shape versus just being in shape. So certainly he's got to get into game shape, but hopefully throughout the preseason, and I would expect to see a ton of him in preseason games, but he can hopefully get out there a little bit and be ready to go for the opener, night one. And the good news is he's cleared to go. There is no, we're waiting for clearance, all that stuff. They say he's cleared to go, and that's good news on Steven Adams.
Another player who I thought had some interesting things to say was Zaire Williams. First of all, he said, listen, I'm healthy. And Taylor Jenkins echoed those sentiments, as did Zach Kleiman. He was healthy at the end of last season. So there was no issues over the summer with Zaire Williams' health. They just decided that they didn't want him to play in the summer league. So it wasn't because he couldn't play. Zaire Williams said, nobody has worked as hard as I have this past summer. Bold statement by Zaire. Jaren Jackson Jr. said that Zaire looks terrific. And Zaire said that he expects to win that starting job, small forward job, to begin the season when Ja is out. He expects to be the 3 on the floor. I asked Luke Kennard, does it matter to you about coming off the bench or about starting? And he seemed non-committal, whatever it took, and that's what you would expect most players to say, whatever it takes to help out the team. But I just think from the outside looking in that I'd rather have Kennard coming off the bench, lighting it up, having a lot more options than maybe he does on the floor with the starters because there's so many options there, and have Zaire win that job. Now, there's guys like David Roddy and Jake LaRavia that would love to take that job and be the starter. But Zaire Williams, the confidence he exuded, I love that.
Yeah, I still believe that last year with Zaire was just a lost season, in that, one, I think injury certainly played a part in it, but he just lost all confidence. He had no confidence in his shot. Then as the minutes dwindle, you put more pressure on yourself because you're getting limited opportunities. Then you feel like you got to make every shot because otherwise you're not going to get to play. And I just think it all compounded. And I think just a summer to clear his head, do the work, get healthy, all of those things. I would, if it's not, unless they go with Luke Kennard, which I certainly could understand. I certainly think Zaire would start over LaRavia or Roddy. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any, in my mind, he clearly would be the starter above those two, barring something crazy. So yeah, I think there would be a really good chance that Zaire ends up being the starter at the 3 during those games.
Couple of other notes from the NBA yesterday in Houston. Dylan Brooks, former Memphis Grizzly, was introduced to the media, talked about a number of things, and was asked about the Grizzlies. And he said, hey, big chip on my shoulder. That's one of the games I've circled on my list, and we got them 4 times. So no surprise that Dylan Brooks is basically calling out his old team and is looking forward to playing in those games this season against Memphis. Also, Memphian Campaign finds a new home in Milwaukee. So he'll be a backup point guard in Milwaukee. Of course, Milwaukee now with Damian Lillard, who was introduced yesterday at Media Day with Giannis Antetokounmpo. But good for Cameron Payne. Finds a nice home with a team that could win it all.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk once that trade went down that he might be a candidate because they needed a backup point guard. And certainly that's a good place to go, place that you could very well go win a ring. So good for him. And hopefully he's able to stick there and have a good season as the backup and maybe get that ring.
Look, Media Day is where optimism abound, right? Everybody is an eternal optimist when it comes to Media Day. Kawhi Leonard talking about how healthy he is and wants to play for Team USA in the Olympics next year. You had Anthony Davis saying his goal was to play all 82 games. I'll believe it when I see it. So a lot of that going on around the NBA, but certainly here in Memphis, a lot of excitement. Players are fired up to get going, and camp begins today.
Ron texts in, says, I expect Bain, Smart, Rose, Jaren, and Adams to start if healthy.
No.
Derrick Rose
will not start.
Derrick Rose at the first 25 games could be your backup point guard. After that, I don't think there will be a whole lot of minutes for Derrick Rose. There may be some here and there. Obviously, injuries and all that could dictate some of that, but I don't He's not. Derrick Rose wasn't brought here to be any starter even for the first 25 games.
Marcus Smart, Des Bain, Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson Jr., and it looks probably like Zaire Williams as your starters for opening day. Again, subject to change, nothing etched in stone. This wasn't said by Taylor Jenkins. But that's the way I see it. Now, again, could be Kennard instead of Zaire, but it's not going to be Derrick Rose.
Raider, of course, says, I thought Ja's first eligible game back is the 19th at New Orleans. First home game is against the Pacers on the 21st. Yeah, that is correct. Those are his first eligible game. The 26th game is the game at New Orleans, which, again, is televised on TNT. So that's why the NBA wants to make sure Ja is ready to go for that game. Again, when you're making rules against resting guys in the national television games, you want that. So if you've got kind of a control over a guy, you're going to make sure that, hey, yes, you could be around the team, you could practice, basically telling the Grizzlies, get that guy ready to go in the 26th game. And obviously the Grizzlies want Ja on the court as soon as they can get him on the court, which would be that game at New Orleans. So, yeah, everybody wants Ja on the court that night in New Orleans.
They do, but where will the Grizzlies be after 25 games? That's the big question. They have had a lot of success without Ja in the past. Will that continue now with a different makeup, with Marcus Smart being in there, with Brandon Clark, a key backup, out for at least minimum half the season? So there are a lot of questions that need to be answered, but the Grizzlies feel very good that they can answer those questions in a very positive manner, have a great start to the season, and then have Ja ready to go and fired up, and he will be rested and I would imagine excited to get back on the court. Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration for all your roofing and home repair needs. Call Brandon McCullough at 901-438-5084 or go online to newroofmemphis.com. They offer financing, so different plans and options to choose from. You can go 6, 12, even 18 months, same as cash option. They'll work with your insurance company or out of pocket, whatever it takes to get that new roof or that roof fixed. Pinnacle does residential and commercial roofing, so business owners, property managers, along with homeowners. If you have a leak or any other roofing problem, call Brandon today. They'll come out and do a free roof inspection. They are licensed, bonded, and insured and a member of the Better Business Bureau. Again, free roof inspection. Just give them a call when you see you have a problem with your roof, there's a leak or any other issue. 5-year labor warranty on the purchase of a new roof, and all their work is satisfaction guaranteed. They do carpentry work, exterior painting. They can replace gutters, install shingles, put up fencing, siding, rotten wood repair. Whatever you can't do yourself, call the experts at Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration. Quality work at a very reasonable price. Again, this is locally owned and operated. Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration, 901-438-5084 or online at newroofmemphis.com. When we come back, we're talking college football with Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
What do you get when you have a dream, a beer, and a business plan? Meddlesome Brewing. Meddlesome's classic ales and lagers capture the true Memphis spirit. Strong, tenacious, and unforgettable. Meddlesome captures true Memphis spirit as well with community events including Ska-toberfest, Saturday, October 14th, with plenty of bands and plenty of brews like Memphis Style and 201 Hopler. Meddlesome Brewing on Trinity in Cordova, just east of Shelby Farms. On tap and can packages. Meddlesome Brewing. Never settle, always metal.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians Restorations are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Response to the all-new Genesis Diamonds has been incredible. People are loving what we've brought to Memphis. Genesis is a different kind of jewelry store with more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place at prices you never thought possible. But value is just a piece of the Genesis difference. They're taking consumer protection to a whole new level with non-commissioned salespeople, free service for life on any purchase, and a nationwide price guarantee. And listen to this, Genesis is so confident in their diamonds that they offer a groundbreaking 120% upgrade guarantee. This means when you buy a diamond now and bring it back in the future to upgrade it, you'll get your entire original purchase price plus an extra 20%. So if you spend $5,000 on your original diamond, Genesis will give you $6,000 when you trade up to a bigger diamond. Think about it. We'll pay you more than you paid us for the same diamond. Who else does this? Discover the Genesis difference, forever changing how people in Memphis buy diamonds and fine jewelry at Poplar & Perkins, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Whether it's date night, a birthday, or just because, raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris. Open in the Regalia Shopping Center at the corner of Poplar and Ridgeway. Treat yourself to one of our classic USDA prime beef steaks, seasoned and broiled to perfection. Then serve sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. Visit Ruth'sChris.com to make a reservation. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Memphis. This is how celebrating more is done.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy's signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's really just now starting to build on 385 Billmore Parkway, leaving Collierville, headed towards Memphis. Traffic still holding up. I-40 across the bridge. Watching that traffic build coming in from West Memphis on I-40 and 55 south, for that matter. Traffic still looks good in the construction zone. 55 north and southbound between McLemore and South Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, they're back open better than ever. 7525 Highway 64. Go by and see them today at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings. Good morning. On Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:30 the time. Hour number one here on Sports 56 Mornings. Coming up at 8:05, Carl Sharonfont will join us from the Memphis Tigers men's basketball team, and we'll talk Major League Baseball playoffs with Dave Sampson, the host of the Nothing Personal podcast and former Marlins president. That'll be at 8:25. But right now, time to talk some college football, specifically some SEC football with Connor O'Gara.
It's time to talk some SEC and college football. Joining Greg and Eli is Connor O'Gara from SaturdayDownSouth.com and SaturdayTradition.com. Here's Connor O'Gara with Greg and Eli.
We get a chance to talk college football every other week with Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South and Saturday Tradition. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. What's going on, Connor?
Gentlemen, doing well. Working through a bit of a cold right now that's lasted for about a week and a half. The daycare germs have gotten the best of me, so apologies. Yeah, I don't sound like my usual self.
It happens, my friend. Get used to it. Get used to it.
I'm already used to it. It's bad. And I've upped my vitamin C intake to about 900% per day, and I'm still feeling it.
So 5 weeks into the season, basically, 5 games for most teams, if not all teams. I'm trying to scan down the league here in the SEC. I think everybody's played 5. Who's the best team in the West?
Oh, man, I think it's still Bama. As weird as it is to say, look, it's kind of about, at this point, how bad is your weakness? I think that's kind of how we have to look at the West. I think that's how we kind of have to look at college football as a whole. In a month where it seems like so many teams are flawed, we look and we say, all right, what can get you beat in a given week? We saw the way that it played out with LSU at Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
That secondary is such a weakness, and that can get them beat. But I think Bama is still the best team, despite the fact that offensively, even in a juicy matchup for that passing game against the Mississippi State secondary, that has allowed everybody to throw on them. They did not want to throw the football. And so they're still limited in what they could do. And I'm not saying that Bama's about to win a national title, but I think you look at what Bama has done defensively, who they think they are offensively with the ground game, and I think that you would still probably take them over anybody in the West.
How big was the win for Lane Kiffin to get that over LSU?
Huge, because of the alternative. The alternative is, in an 8-day stretch, you go from thinking you have a chance to compete in this division, perhaps get to your first SEC championship game as a program, to being 0-2 and out of it with the 2 teams that you lost to being Bama and LSU. Instead, you get, in my opinion, your first signature win. And I can say that as an Indiana grad who doesn't necessarily count the 2020 Outback Bowl as a Lane Kiffin signature win, or last year's game against Kentucky, a number 7 Kentucky team that obviously went 7-5 in the regular season. But I think beating LSU and doing so in very typical Lane fashion, I think that's his best win in a long time. Remember the stat that I always bring up: Lane Kiffin in his career against Power 5 teams who go on to win 9 regular season games. Guys, coming into this year, he was 1-19 in those matchups, and his last such victory came 12 years ago when he was the head coach at USC against Oregon. So I think it was a monumental day for Lane Kiffin.
By the way, yesterday Ole Miss announced that the attendance for that game broke the record at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, 66,703 officially for that game, including Savoy.
They announced that during the game that was a record. On the other side of that, who's to blame for LSU's defense being that bad?
Matt House. I think Matt House is to blame. I think that they have an obvious weakness in the secondary. And last year they pieced together the secondary with portal guys, and it worked. This year they're piecing together the secondary with some portal guys, some not portal guys. It's not working. It's just not working. You can't have that many missed tackles on the road in the SEC West and expect to win a football game. You just can't. I mean, what was the final number that I think Brian Kelly had? It was like 34 missed tackles in a game. I mean, that is just insane to think about. Not to take credit away from Ole Miss, but it's bad. And you see the Matt House usage of Harold Perkins and how that's been scrutinized so much, and he's not the player that he was last year, in part because of that, and in part because teams game plan to try and stop that guy, and they realize they have to. So I think Matt House, this game just isn't working right now. These guys are not in position to succeed, and they're not making those plays when they have the opportunity. So it comes back to the DC, in my opinion.
Well, I know we live in a what have you done for me lately world, especially with SEC football and in particular LSU and that fan base. But I don't get it. I don't get all the negative talk about Brian Kelly. His first year, look what he did in his first year. I know they're 4-4 in their last 8 going back to last year. I think he's a really good coach. So what am I missing here?
People love to hate Brian Kelly. It's just as simple as that. I mean, you don't have to overthink it. It's unless he had a national championship under his belt, and even then, I mean, look at Jimbo Fisher and the treatment that he gets because of that contract.
Right.
But people feel like Brian Kelly is put in the masses, the media specifically, in that tier 1 group of coaches, even though the masses feel like his teams are always overrated. Now, I would push back on that a bit. I tend to err more on the side of he's a really, really good football coach. But the problem with this team is that this was the most talented team that Brian Kelly's ever had as a head coach. And here they are heading into October with 2 losses already. In my opinion, they are out of the college football playoff. They would need a wild sequence of events, very 2007-like sequence of events for that to change, in my opinion. But to me, I think that's probably the bigger issue, and you see the obvious flaws with a very talented team.
The Rebels, Ole Miss, get Arkansas this week. It feels like, and we knew going into the year this was going to be a brutal stretch for Arkansas. I mean, you just 4 SEC West games on the road, basically in a 4-week stretch is hard to ask, but they lose the BYU game going into that stretch. Sam Pittman, it feels like things are turning on Sam Pittman at Arkansas. What if he ends up losing the rest of this stretch? Especially if they were to lose to Mississippi State at home coming out of it. How bad could things get for Pittman?
Bad. And I think if I'm sitting here betting today, Hunter Yurachek is going to give him the year of grace, and Sam Pittman would probably be on every hot seat list in America this offseason. He's going to have a chance to turn around this team with the latter half of the schedule, the way that it sets up. But the problem, and if you recall last year, that locker room kind of splintered. When things went south after expectations sort of came and went, they had a really difficult time keeping that team together, and it looked like it was a one-way street with the portal, and that is an issue. And that is an issue that Sam Pittman is working against. If you know that the buyout and the way that it's structured, it's a performance-based buyout, and it's got about a $5 million difference. Goes from about $15.5 million to I want to say about $10 million. In terms of whether or not he has a record that is 500 or better. And that's the issue that I think Sam Pittman is working against, because the honeymoon is over. And I think that even as a Sam Pittman fan, I could sit here and say he needs to be able to figure things out in a hurry with this team, this disastrous offensive line, that's probably the biggest issue with this team, is that the offensive line is so bad. And that's the area that he's supposed to be so good at. And they just have not been able to find those answers so far.
Extremely important games all around the league this weekend. Alabama, Texas A&M. I asked you about who the best team in the West is, and you said, well, it's probably Bama. Bama goes to College Station. Texas A&M's defense has played lights out, and it seems like their offense is better with Max Johnson than it was with Connor Wegman. How do you see this matchup?
The offense is not better with with Max Johnson compared to Connor Wegman. I'll push back on that. I think he was really figuring things out. Now, it was better last week against Auburn when Max Johnson came in. He definitely provided a spark. But if you look at the things that Connor Wegman was doing, especially against the blitz, I mean, I will defend that guy. But he has kept that offense afloat. And that, to me, is a testament to Max Johnson. It's also a testament to this Bobby Petrino offense, which is working. Guys, they have 5 consecutive games with 27 points to start this Bobby Petrino era. The last time a Jimbo Fisher coached team had such a streak within a season was 2014 at Florida State with Jameis Winston. So think about that. This offense is working. The defense has figured some things out since Miami. That defensive line is still really, really good. And there's a reason why this spread is only, 2.5 points? We saw Jalen Milroe against this A&M front last year, and it didn't look particularly good. They were a competent goal line call away from going into Tuscaloosa and winning that football game. And so now you look at this matchup going into College Station, A&M fans should be feeling pretty good because they have an offense that can actually hang with a team that in my opinion, has a lot of talent in Alabama. But Alabama's defense is playing phenomenally well. It's strength on strength with that A&M offense against the Bama defense. And to me, I think this matchup is so unbelievably interesting with where these programs are at.
Has Kentucky established itself as the second best team in the East, and can they win in Athens?
No, they haven't, because Mizzou is still lurking, and Mizzou is the team that right now. I mean, you talk about a prime opportunity, guys. They just beat a Power 5 team as a ranked team for the first time in 9 years. Hadn't happened. Speaking of things that haven't happened since 2014, that's what Mizzou just did by beating Vandy. Okay, so they have a prime opportunity and a very intriguing matchup against an LSU secondary that's fallen apart. But Kentucky. I think Kentucky, people were expecting bigger things for the passing game out of my personal doppelganger, Liam Cohen. And, guys, it just has not materialized. Now, the great thing for Kentucky is that defense looks great, and what Ray Davis did single game FBS high, 280 rushing yards against the Florida run defense that came in 15th in the country. You feel good about those things, but you would think even against Georgia, who has been suspect against the run so far this year, atypically so, you still need to be able to establish that second dimension. It just has not been there for Devin Leary and these young receivers. So I think that they're a distant second, but Mizzou is absolutely still part of that conversation.
Do you think Georgia covers 14.5?
Oh, man.
It's a lot of points.
It's a lot. I took Auburn and covered last week. I had Auburn only losing that game 21-10, and it kind of played out the way that I envisioned. Maybe not down to the wire that way, but look, I'm going to have to dig into that one a bit more. They're going to make adjustments, right? That defensive staff is too good. Glenn Schumann and Will Muschamp and Kirby Smart, they're going to figure some things out in the run game to be able to stop it. So I think that they probably cover, but at the same time, the fact that I'm even thinking about that for a game that's going to be played in Athens,
yes,
for a Georgia team that's gotten off to these terrible starts in their 2 Power 5 games, I mean, that kind of tells you where this program is at right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're kind of second-guessing. I don't know why we should be second-guessing Georgia, 2-time defending national champions, undefeated, still number 1, 16 straight weeks in the AP poll, and yet I'm looking to see if there's some slippage, and then they'll probably go out and clobber Kentucky and look like Georgia from the past 2 years. So we'll see this weekend. But if there are issues and they either get upset or get a close shave win, I know what we'll be talking about next week, that maybe Georgia is not the Georgia of the past, and all these other conferences have teams that could beat Georgia. So we'll see how that turns out. But it should be a fun weekend with a lot of big games. Of course, Connor has you covered at Saturday Down South, Saturday Tradition. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. And we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks, Connor. Thank you so much, man.
Gentlemen, appreciate it.
Get well. Get well. Take some more stuff for the cold. All right, take care.
We'll do. Thanks.
Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South. Folks, so what goes with football as far as food is concerned, better than anything, it's hot wings. It is hot wings. Yes, you can get your burgers, you can get your ribs, you can get all that stuff, but hot wings is synonymous with football and tailgating. And what's important with a good hot wing is the flavors. What chicken wing flavors do you put on top? Well, at the Crazy Coop, they got 27 options. 27 options for your delicious hot wings, like the Buffalo Ranch, a perfect combo of ranch seasoning with a little kick to it, the mango habanero, the sweet taste of mango followed by the heat, or maybe you want to go sweet maple bourbon. The taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. You could also go really hot with the Crazy Sweet Lemon Pepper Hot or the Crazy Suicide, or if you can't take the heat, get the 4-cheese roasted garlic or the barbecue bacon bourbon. That's just a few of the examples of the 27 different flavors you can get at the Crazy Coop. Where are they located? 7199 Highway 64 between Appling and Kirby Whitten, and the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Stock up for your tailgating, whether it's Friday night high school football or Saturday NFL, or you're just looking for a great place for lunch or for dinner. They have the whole wings, the party wings, the boneless wings, plus those delicious, huge chicken tenders. The Crazy Packs are available, and they will cater events. They're open at 11 a.m. all the way to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. You can get the takeout, order online, DoorDash, and any of the other services will deliver to your home or office. And as I mentioned, they will cater your event. So when you're thinking hot wings, of course, when you're thinking football, think hot wings. Think the Crazy Coop. They are located again at 7199 Highway 64 between Appling and Kirby Whitten. It's in Bartlett. It's kind of where Bartlett meets Memphis. And the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Visit Acura of Memphis to learn more about the Acura MDX and the MDX Type S.
Hun, we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
I know. It's just been so busy, and I'm sure the cost is out of our budget.
Well, Jen told me that they got a $500,000 term life insurance policy from Ethos for less than $23 a month. All online with no complicated forms and no medical exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait, no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be...
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now. Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam, and Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Worn-out tires are a safety hazard. TireRack.com reminds you to inspect your tires regularly. Grab a quarter, stick it in the tread. If you can see the top of Washington's head, it's time to replace. Go to TireRack.com/Colin, use the Tire Decision Guide to get a personalized tire recommendation. Choose from the full line of General tires and tread confidently. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Hey, if you're hungry for great Mexican food for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, got it. La Guadalupana. Guadalupana, Guadalupana. Choose from tacos, burritos, enchiladas, sizzling shrimp, beef, or chicken fajitas, and even a Cuban sandwich filled with Mexican sauces, chicken, ham, steak, jalapenos, avocado, and more. How about super nachos topped with melted cheese, beans, sour cream, guacamole, tomato, and jalapenos? All great with nice cold beer, domestic and imported. Good prices, generous portions, great service at 2 locations, Summer Avenue and Cordova Road. La Guadalupana.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings.
Good morning.
On Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. Final segment here in hour number 1. Tomorrow is 5 favorite things. And on Tuesday, we give you the topic. So here you go. Here's your topic for tomorrow's 5 favorite things. Your 5 favorite comedians who starred in a television sitcom or drama. So 5 favorite comedians who starred in a television sitcom or drama. But you cannot use any who starred in a variety show. So you can't use Saturday Night Live, In Living Color. So you can't do any of that as far as... Even the Chappelle Show. You can't use the Chappelle Show. These are variety shows. I'm talking about an actual comedy or drama. And there have been many, many comedians that have starred in both genres. So 5 favorite comedians who starred in a television sitcom or drama for tomorrow's 5 favorite things.
Here's what is not one of my favorite things.
What's that?
That football game last night. That was brutal. I'll go brutal. That was awful football last night. You know, the Giants looked like a disaster.
Last year when I had the usual red zone that was on DirecTV and I had all the games, it was great. Picked and choose who I wanted to watch, when I wanted to watch. Everything was great. Now I'm stuck with whatever's on, and it seems like it's always a bad game. And of course, when you're talking Monday Night Football, the past 2 weeks there were 2 games. Last night there was only the one. You're stuck with that. That's your game. That would be the same thing as like a Thursday night game. You're stuck with it. But you're right. The Giants right now are in disarray. When Saquon Barkley can't play, forget about it. They're just horrible. Listen to this. This comes from Bill Barnwell. He tweeted this out. The Giants' offense this season, excluding the second half against the Cardinals, so just one half of football, exclude that second half against the Cardinals. The Giants' offense, 37 drives, 1 touchdown, 15 total points, 8 turnovers, 20 sacks. That's pathetic.
They damn near had 20 sacks last night.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, how much of it is Daniel Jones' ineptness, or how much of it is the offensive line sucks, or is it just a combination?
Both.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line, obviously, you give up 11 sacks in a game, and obviously the Cowboys in the first game were killing him. But I think they got 7 in that first game against the Giants. I mean, they're just he's running for his life, and he avoids some sacks, is able to run and escape. Like, you give him, if he was like more of a statue back there, he might get sacked 15 times a game.
Right.
So he does a little bit to avoid that, but the offensive line is bad. But like, he also makes some really bad throws at times. They
thus the 97-yard pick six.
Saquon, without Saquon, they just don't have much going for them offensively. It's a rough go for them, and yeah, I in some ways I feel bad for him because when Saquon's not in there, there's not a whole lot weapon wise for him to go to, and then you throw in a bad offensive line with it. Yeah, there's a lot going against that offense.
Yeah, another note from Adam Zagoria. The Giants have been outscored by 79 points in 3 primetime games this season. They are not primetime players, as they say. Seattle wins 24-3. How about the Seahawks? They're 3-1. Consistent. They're just consistent under Pete Carroll. They've always been consistent. Sometimes they've been great, obviously. But they won at Detroit. The Lions only lost this year. They win now in the Meadowlands at MetLife Stadium. They win convincingly. And again, the Giants down 14-3, driving inside the 5, deep in the red zone. Daniel Jones throws a pick six that goes 97 yards. Witherspoon taking it the other way. Just awful right there. Absolutely awful. But that's what we had. That was our choice for Monday night. You can watch it or you can watch something else.
I chose the latter of that.
What did you watch?
I couldn't watch that anymore. So what did I don't remember what I turned on. I turned on something that I had recorded.
I'll be honest with you. My wife, I said, you got control of the remote. I go, I can't watch this anymore.
I watched Jersey Shore Family Vacation. That's what it was.
Oh, I already watched mine. I watched 90 Day Fiancé. That's what my wife popped on.
I watched Jersey Shore.
Yeah, no, it was the opposite for me because I was just scrolling through Twitter and I saw, Daniel Jones gave up a 98-yard pick six. I was like, well, let me just tune in just to see what else he's looking like. And then he threw his third pick of the game, if I'm not mistaken. He threw 3.
No, he threw 2.
He threw 2, but that was that 97-yarder. Like it ended the game. But even
and I was done at halftime. At halftime, I was out. I tapped out. I was like, this is just horrendous football. There's nothing happening.
How about Buck and Aikman? They're calling the game. The producer shows the shot of
the parking lot.
Of the taillights heading out of MetLife Stadium, out of the Meadowlands complex, and Troy Aikman's basically saying it's going to be easy for us when we lead because the roads are going to be clear. Everybody's going to be gone. Basically, they said this game's done.
And they refused.
And there was still a quarter and change to go.
They refused to talk about Taylor Swift. They should talk about Taylor Swift because that would have been much more interesting than the game.
It probably would have.
Geno Smith threw for 110 yards. His team had a blowout win. I mean, there was just nothing happening. I kept waiting for something redeeming about the game, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. So at halftime, I was out. I went, nope, no more of this.
Well, Geno went out with the injury early, then came back, didn't have to throw the ball. All they had to do was run with that big lead. I needed Geno for 200 yards. It didn't even happen. Of course, I guess the good news is that he did come back, threw a touchdown pass to the former Rebel DK Metcalf. But yeah, it was not good, to say the least. All right, Major League Baseball. The playoffs begin today. The wild card round, there's 4 series, and I am looking forward to it. There's nothing like postseason baseball. You got the Marlins and the Phillies, the Rangers and the Rays, the Blue Jays and the Twins, and the Diamondbacks and the Brewers, all best 2 of 3 in the Major League Baseball playoffs. In the meantime, some other Major League Baseball news. Phil Nevin was let go by the Angels. I don't think that's a surprise. So Phil Nevin out. The Angels need a manager. This one kind of slipped by. I think it happened over the weekend, or I just didn't see it. Gabe Kapler was let go by the San Francisco Giants, one-time Phillies manager. Yesterday, the news of Buck Showalter not returning for the Mets. And we know that Terry Francona has resigned. He's retired as the coach of the Guardians, longtime Red Sox skipper. So you got openings there in Anaheim, in San Francisco, with the New York Mets, and in Cleveland. We'll see if anything else happens. And then there was the sad news of the passing of Tim Wakefield at the age of 57. I knew Tim Wakefield was a very good pitcher, solid pitcher, a great knuckleballer, kind of the last of the Mohicans, if you will. I don't know if anybody throws a knuckleball now. but I didn't know how good he was with the Red Sox. Wakefield pitched for a couple of teams, but man, oh man, his longevity and his numbers stand out, and that's a proud franchise with a lot of greatness. Tim Wakefield was a great player for the Red Sox.
Yeah, fantastic career. Those knuckleball guys can pitch every day, basically, if you need them to. So, but yeah, he had a fantastic career, and very sad to see that at a very young age that he passed away. So yeah, and I had no idea that he had gotten sick and was sick.
No.
But yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Also news from the college basketball world. According to Pops LeBron James at the Lakers media availability yesterday, Bronny James is going to be able to play at USC. So that's good news. Hopefully that young man will stay healthy and he'll have a prominent career and maybe one day play with his dad in the NBA. But it was very, very scary there for a while about Bronny. And it looks like, again, according to Pops, that he will be playing. And so I'm sure right now is starting to practice with the USC Trojans. Folks, if you're looking for a place to play golf that you've never had the opportunity before because you weren't a member of this country club, well, you now have an opportunity. It's Meadowbrook Country Club, which is at 1250 West Broadway in West Memphis, Arkansas. It is a short trip from anywhere. In fact, 10, 15 minutes at most from Midtown or downtown Memphis. An easy trip, as I said, from anywhere in the tri-state area. But again, it has been a private country club since 1959 when it was established. Not anymore. It's still a country club, but it's now semi-private, so you can play it as a daily fee course. They're open Tuesday through Saturday. Challenging layout, Bermuda greens, real fun course. Daily fee just $59 in tax, and that includes the cart. Also, if you want to become a member of that country club, $350 per month. That includes golf, tennis, pickleball, swimming. They got a great swimming pool plus restaurant and bar. You can become a member at Meadowbrook Country Club. The number to call, write this down if you can. If you're driving around, don't go for the pen and paper. 870-394-4186. If you missed that number, just call the station. We'll get it for you. 870-394-4186. Call, set up your tee time, or if you have questions about becoming a member of the country club, they will answer them for you. Mark Bartlett's the pro out there. He can also give you lessons, and he can fit you for Shrixon clubs. He's a former member of the PGA Tour. So give Mark a call, set up a tee time, and enjoy Meadowbrook Country Club. Coming up next to open up hour number 2, Wake Up the Kids, we're talking to one of the young Memphis Tigers players, Carl Sharonfont. 6'5" freshman guard will join us next. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wow, I feel good. Shopping at Drive Max. Drive Max. Drive Max. You get value.
Need a car that screams I feel good? DriveMax has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
DriveMax, I got approved.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Your brain is an amazing thing. But as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. Based on a clinical study of subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired, Prevagen has been shown to improve memory. A Pharmacy Times National Survey of Pharmacists rated Prevagen the #1 pharmacist-recommended memory support brand for the 5th year in a row. You can find it in the vitamin aisle in stores everywhere without a prescription. Help your memory. Try Prevagen today. Prevagen. Healthier brain, better life. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Oh, yeah. Sports 56 Traffic.
Good morning. We're seeing that heavy traffic coming up from the south, 55 northbound, coming up through South Haven into South Memphis. It's crowded over here now on 385 as you get on to 240. Same thing, 40 westbound as you travel between Germantown Parkway all the way to Sycamore View Road. Heavy traffic coming inbound on Summer Avenue. Don't miss it this year. Smoky Mountain Fall Festival is underway right now through October 29th at Ober-Gatlinburg. Check out all the fun details. Log on to obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 of the program, 8:05 the time on this Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Zach Boyd with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently 67 degrees, partly cloudy skies, looking at a sunny day of a high around 91 tonight. Partly cloudy with a low of 68. In just a moment, Carl Sharonfont from the Memphis Tigers will be joining us on the program, but it's Tuesday and it's time for Humdinger's Trivia.
That's right, Humdinger's Trivia. We do it each and every Tuesday. And, of course, each and every Tuesday at Humdinger's is Taco Tuesday. I was over there last Tuesday for Taco Tuesday, enjoying some of those chicken and fish tacos, which are just $2 each all day, each and every Tuesday at Humdinger's. Of course, you can enjoy those or any of the great grilled fish options or the crispy fish and chips or any of the chicken, the sandwiches, the salads. So many great things on the menu over there. So many healthy items on the menu. Great sides, the toppings for the grilled fish, the humdinger shrimp, all kinds of great things that you could choose from. You'll find Humdingers at Poplar and Massey. That's where you're going to find that delicious food. You can also find them online, humdingersrestaurant.com, where you can check out the full menu. And if you need any event catered, they could certainly take care of you for that as well. If you are the first to answer today's trivia question correctly, you'll get a $25 gift certificate to Humdingers. You can answer via text at 901-360-8255. That's 901-360-8255. And here is today's question with the Major League Baseball playoffs getting underway today. Among active Major League Baseball players, who has the most career postseason hits? Among active Major League Baseball players, who has the most career postseason hits? Text in 901-360-8255. First correct answer gets that $25 gift certificate to Humdingers.
I know there's a lot of excitement around here, as there always is for Memphis Tigers basketball, but this year especially, as this looks like a star-studded roster with veteran players and young players, like our next guest, Carl Sharonfont, 6'6" Tigers freshman guard, who joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. You can follow Carl on Twitter at 5KingCarl, the pride of Pompano Beach, Florida, joining us now on Sports 56 Mornings. Hey, Carl, how are you, man?
Doing good. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. I really enjoyed seeing the highlights of you in action in the Dominican Republic, a young guy who certainly is trying to make a name for yourself here in your first year amongst all these veteran players that this Tigers team has on the roster. What's it been like for you since your arrival in Memphis?
It's been super fun and exciting being around the guys, especially older guys, being able to compete at a high level, because they push us young guys every day to compete and get better. And it's just been very exciting, and just excitement around the team for this season.
Of course, when you get to come in and immediately go on a trip to the Dominican Republic, that makes it nice and fun too, doesn't it?
Man, it made our time spent well. We got to get some team bonding, play basketball, and it was a really fun trip.
I have been impressed with really your physical, your size for a freshman. You're only going to get bigger and stronger, but you got really good size. You're a tough young man, have a nice shot from the outside. What particular parts of your game are things that you have really worked on with the coaching staff?
I think the biggest thing right now is just being able to make spot-up threes and just consistently being able to make outside shots. Because I think everything else I can bring to the game, but just consistently making outside shots to help the team out.
Going back, what made you choose Memphis?
I think the biggest thing was the history of the program. I think everything within the program embodied who I am as a person, the city, and just everything that came with it.
So they say patience is a virtue, and I don't know how much patience athletes have, because you want to be the guy. You were the guys in high school, and now you've all come together for this one goal, and that's to bring a championship to the University of Memphis. But as we just talked about, Carl, there's a lot of guys that have 3, 4, 5 years of experience under their belt, but you have the game as well. What are your expectations for this season? Because only 5 players can be on the court at once, and I don't know how deep Penny's going to go with his rotation, but certainly you have earned a really good look at being one of those guys.
I think the biggest thing is having everybody contribute and play a role. At the end of the day, everybody has to fill in a spot in order for us to win the championship. Everybody can't be the last person to take a shot, or be the last person, or be one of the last 5 people on the floor, because we have a lot of talent on this team and can be very deep. And so I think it's everybody just settle into a role and being able to play key minutes and exerting those minutes to the best they can. And then those last 5 guys are the guys on the floor that matter. And some games it may change, because depending on game flow and how things are going, that may switch up a lot. But that works in our benefit with the depth and talent we have this year.
What have the battles been like in practice?
Man, they've been fun, tough. When you have 12 guys that can play at a high level, man, it makes practice more exciting, and guys love to compete on this team, so it makes it fun for us.
Do you feel that everybody understands the mission? Because again, you can look at players that are grad students and they're getting that one final year, maybe one final push to try to get to the NBA, which I'm sure is the goal of every player, that they're all bought in the team concept?
I think having older guys makes it easier because these guys have been around in college basketball for a long time, and they understand what the main mission and goal is for this year. And it isn't individual accolades driven. It's we need to put the best team we can together so we can go win a national championship. And then if we do our part, everybody wins at the end of the day if we win together.
Before you were being recruited and visit all that stuff, what did you know? How much did you know about the city of Memphis?
I would say not too much, man, but you always hear about the barbecue that's here. That's probably the only thing I knew.
And so have you enjoyed plenty of the barbecue?
Man, I've had more than enough barbecue in my time here already.
Yeah, you don't have too much barbecue.
What's your go-to?
Believe me.
What's your ribs? What's your...
It's tough.
Barbecue nachos? You like the nachos?
Oh, those barbecue nachos are crazy. I got to stay away from them.
Well, you're from Pompano Beach, Florida. I imagine that's not that far. What is it? How far is it from Miami?
It's about 35, 40-minute drive to Miami.
So close. So obviously having the Miami Heat, having an NBA team there. Now you're in Memphis where you're playing college, and you have an NBA team right here in the same arena that you play your games. I'm sure you guys enjoy that because I know there's been a great relationship over the years between the Tigers and the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm. No, we enjoy it for sure. Being able to be somewhere surrounding like that, it gives us a sense of gratitude to be able to step in the same arena as guys like that, because we think we're high-level guys too and potentially be at that level one day.
Have you had any of the players come over yet?
I've seen a couple guys in here before, like Jaren Jackson, and just I think that's probably the only one I've seen in here, but he's been in here working out a couple times before.
So did you grow up as a Heat fan?
The Heat was always my favorite team growing up.
Did you get to see Jimmy Butler's hair yesterday by chance?
Man, Jimmy Butler is a man of the people.
So, are you thinking about possibly doing that with your hair?
No, I can't do it, Jimmy Butler.
I don't think anybody can. Carl Sharon is joining us here on the program. Tigers 6'5" freshman guard. What were we going to say?
I can't do what Jimmy does. Jimmy is a different beast.
He is a different beast, isn't he? By the way, you're a young guy, and you didn't watch Penny play when he was a player, but you know of him. How much did you know of Penny and what he did in the NBA while being recruited or as a young person?
I growing up, you would hear stuff about other players that have been in the league before and stuff like that, and he was one of the guys that always came up. So when I was younger, I used to always go back and watch highlights of guys that I didn't get a chance to see. And I just go off highlights that I've seen and just based off how people talk about him. It's always great. It was always talking about his greatness, his character, how well he could play. But obviously injuries and stuff like that kind of deterred him. But, man, he was one of a kind.
Who were the players that you, when you're growing up, you looked up to and kind of maybe even tried to model your game after?
I think the biggest one is Dwayne Wade. Being in South Florida, being so close to him, and then now being similar size, similar build. I always looked up to him, especially during those Miami Heat runs, because I always envisioned him as a person that I could be like. Sometimes you ain't going to be 6'8" like LeBron James. So I enjoyed watching him down in South Florida, but I more see myself as a D-Wade guy.
You have a very interesting story. I read the story that Parth Upadhyay from the Daily Memphian wrote about you down in the Dominican Republic about your mother and father had come from Haiti. This was 4 years before you were born. You were born in the United States, but they came from Haiti. You didn't really start playing organized ball until, 8 years ago? So really a kind of a late bloomer when it came to basketball.
Yep. I started playing organized basketball later than everybody else. But I always knew I wanted to play at a high level within basketball since I could imagine. And it started with actually watching Dwayne Wade in the Heat in my early days. But I'm grateful for the position I am. I wouldn't trade it because basketball now at a young age is hectic now. So.
Were you playing any sports as a younger kid, or was sports just not a part of it at all?
I played football down in South Florida. That's kind of that's the big thing. Football is the virtue down there. So I was playing a lot of youth league football down there.
See, that doesn't surprise me. For those who have not seen Carl yet, you're tough. You're big. I don't want to say you're thick. Sounds like you've eaten too much barbecue. No, you're in great shape. But I mean, you look like you can play defensive back or even linebacker or something like that. And it's a lot different because usually you see the basketball built is a lot thinner. You're more stockier, which not too many guys are going to come in there and push you around. So from a physical standpoint, you probably feel like you have an advantage on a lot of guys you're going up against.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing is what a lot of people say about younger guys coming in is the physicality of the game. It's a huge difference. But me, I've trained in that way for a very long time. So the physicality wasn't a big difference for me when I stepped onto the floor here. So I can move just as well as everybody here. I'm just as strong as everybody. So it was definitely a benefit for me.
You're wearing number 5, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there any meaning to that? Or just what they got?
I've worn number 5 ever since I started playing organized basketball forever. So it's been a thing that kind of just been created. It was no initial meaning behind it, but then some people came up with a nickname, and they called me C5 ever since I started playing basketball, and I've never took that number 5 off my jersey number ever since.
And as I mentioned, you can follow Carl on Twitter at 5KingCarl. What has Coach Hardaway said to you about maybe your role this upcoming season as a true freshman?
I think the biggest thing is finding the little ways to contribute to winning, and not being so. It's not going to be scoring driven. It's going to be making the little plays, defending, rebounding, handling the ball, getting us into plays and stuff like that, and just being aggressive and getting downhill.
Who's the toughest guy so far in practice that you've had to defend?
I'll say the toughest guy every day for me to defend is probably Caleb Mills.
And why is that?
He's just shifty and quick, and usually those shifty guards get you that are quick too on their feet, and he has some great speed with his size too, so it makes it a difficult matchup. But most of the time, I hang in there though. So
I'm sure you do, and I also would imagine you have a nice rapport, especially with the other true freshmen, J.J. Taylor and Ashton Hardaway.
Yeah, those guys have been working, been showing their talent, the mindset. I think we got a great freshman class that came in, and guys that can contribute right away.
Are you getting recognized yet in the city? Because you will.
It's been here and there, but it's been some good fans. Like, I love the fan base of Memphis and how it's just a basketball city, and that's just going to make us want to play harder for the city and just do well this year.
Well, I'm sure they are going to be excited to watch you play, Carl. I am as well. Looking forward to it. And before too long, you guys will be suiting up and heading to the floor at FedEx Forum to play your first games of the year. He's Carl Sharonfont, Tiger 6'6" freshman guard out of Pompano Beach, Florida. You can follow him on Twitter at 5KingCarl. Best of luck to you, Carl. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Real nice young man. And I like this guy. I really, really think he can be a part of that rotation. But that's saying an awful lot because there is a lot of talent on that team.
We do have a correct answer, and Zach, you're going to do a tiebreaker here for our Humdingers trivia. The question was among active Major League Baseball players, who has the most career postseason hits? Now I'm starting to believe Tennessee Tom no longer is just not listening to the questions. Now he's just trolling. Because I don't even think anybody, I don't think even a Tennessee fan can be this bad at doing this stuff. So I just assume that at this point, Tennessee Tom is trolling by putting people who couldn't possibly be the answer to the question. So I'm just going to assume that's the case, Tom. I'm going to give you a break here. I'm going to assume that you're just trolling at this point, and that's okay. 901, or the answer, by the way, with 103 career hits, and he has a chance to continue to add to his total this season. He is by far the current leader among active players. That would be Jose Altuve. He is the only active player who's in the top 10 in career postseason hits. He's got 103. Still a long way to go to catch Derek Jeter for the career lead, but Jose Altuve, again, will have a chance to add much to his total. We'll see how far the Astros go this year, but he certainly has a chance to add to his total. We have a 4-way tie here for folks who got the correct answer all at the same timestamp. So, Zach, John, Paul, George, or Ringo?
Nice.
Wait, say that again?
Here we go.
John, Paul, George, or Ringo?
He's going to show his youth.
John, Paul, the
George,
Beatles.
and Ringo.
These are the Beatles.
Apostles.
These are the Beatles.
Oh.
These are the
okay.
Beatles. These aren't the people's names. Ringo did not text in to answer. These are the Beatles. But I've assigned them each a person here. John, Paul, George, or Ringo?
I know John. I know Paul. I'm not sure about George, but we're going to go with Ringo. How about that?
There you go. Ringo Starr.
You know John and Paul, but you don't know George and Ringo.
Not off the top of my head, no.
If you're
but
to
I've
guess,
seen their faces.
what do you think George's last name is? What do you think Ringo's last name is?
He's not going to know the last. I just said it.
Peterson? I don't know.
Ringo Starr.
Yeah, you just said Ringo.
Starkey is his real name, but it goes by Ringo Starr.
Yes, George Peterson. That's correct.
he's a
John
good player.
Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Peterson, and Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
George Harrison. George Harrison.
I was close.
You were close.
It ended in a son. You had the son correct. 3 syllables.
Yeah.
And ending in a son.
It fits.
You were really close.
Well, he wrote a song called Here Comes the Sun, so maybe that's what he was thinking of. Zach knows the Beatles like the back of his hand. So there you go. We got a winner. There it is. James Gaddis Jewelers, they are a winner. If you're looking for a beautiful engagement ring, diamond rings of all types, personally designed wedding sets, or any of their other fine jewelry, they are a winner. They've been around Memphis for a long time. They know what they're doing. That's why they have so many folks that come back for more jewelry, whether it's a beautiful watch, whether it's a beautiful bracelet or necklace, earrings or pendants. They have gemstones of all types, plus custom-made jewelry. And they have estate and vintage jewelry, and they're always adding to their collection. So every time you go there, you're going to see a lot of jewelry that you hadn't seen the last time you were there. They have the experts to help you pick out that special engagement ring, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing is always available at James Gaddis Jewelers. If you need something appraised, just bring it on in. James is a certified appraiser. 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick. That's in the heart of East Memphis. They've been there for a quarter century. Before that, they were on Summer Avenue. So they've been around for a long, long time here, part of the fabric of this community. You can not follow them, but you could go on the website, gaddisjewelers.com, to get more information. You could also give them a call, and if you do, tell them you heard it here on Sports 56 Mornings. That's 901-767-9648 for James Gaddis Jewelers, second hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. We are talking Major League Baseball playoffs with Dave Sampson when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sports and blinds, they just go together. And right now, all Sports 56 listeners get $50 off any order at Blinds Etc. South. Real wood, 3.5 to 4.5 inch plantation shutters made in the Mid-South are always affordable at Blinds Etc. South. And now get $50 off your order. Get your free in-home consultation at 901-681-0225 or go to blindsetceteraSouthLLC.com. Upgrade your home with custom-made plantation shutters and window treatments from Blinds Etc. South.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we've represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Memphis attorneys. 5100 Poplar Avenue, Suite 2932, Memphis, Tennessee, 38137.
Paid for by Cordell & Cordell.
Whether it's date night, a birthday, or just because, raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris. Open in the Regalia Shopping Center at the corner of Poplar and Ridgeway. Treat yourself to one of our classic USDA prime beef steaks, seasoned and broiled to perfection. Then serve sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. Visit Ruth'sChris.com to make a reservation. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Memphis. This is how celebrating more is done.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Just a couple of accidents out here the last few minutes. It is heavy now. I'll be here with traffic volume on 240 East and West up by Poplar, Walnut Grove. Same thing on 40 West as it gets crowded passing Sycamore View Road. Headed to that 240 flyover. Some of that traffic is getting off there onto Sam Cooper and coming inbound. Still looks good right now. I-40 across the bridge over from West Memphis. Weimer's Jewelry, they're back open. Better than ever. 7525 Highway 64. Go see them today at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
To reveal the full spectrum of its dazzling color.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Postseason baseball is here, baby. Wild card round begins today. Best 2 of 3. Texas and Tampa Bay will start things off at 2 o'clock. Toronto at Minnesota, 3:30. Arizona, Milwaukee at 6, and then Miami and my Phillies at 7 o'clock. And we are very pleased to be joined by one of our favorite guests. He knows a little bit about the game of baseball. He's Dave Sampson. He's the host of the Nothing Personal podcast, a regular contributor to the Dan Le Batard Show, and the former president of the Miami Marlins. You can follow him on Twitter at David P. Sampson. Dave, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Before we dive into baseball, tell me about your latest conquest. You are an outdoors guy, as I think people know, and you went on this running thing. I was trying to keep up with you on Twitter. What did you just recently do?
I just finished a challenge that was developed by Dave Goggins, where I ran 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 straight hours, raising money to find a cure for Parkinson's.
Oh, good for you.
And I did it with my best friend and 13 other people. My best friend has Parkinson's and got diagnosed 17 years ago when he was 38. And we do something to raise money every year, some athletic, something that's crazy. And he's raised $1 million. Unfortunately, we got to keep going. We kept refreshing the app to see whether a cure had been announced during the challenge, because then we could have quit because it was so hard. But alas, no cure, so we kept going. But thank you for noticing. It was brutal.
4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. Eli, don't you do something like that with beer? 4 beers every 4 hours, and then
I haven't ran 4 miles in my life, so that's good.
Well, congratulations again. The fight to find a cure for Parkinson's. Dave leading the way. All right, so I'm sure you're happy. The Marlins are in the postseason. Unfortunately, they're gonna run into a roadblock in my Phillies. Hate to say it, Dave, but no. What a great year for the Marlins.
No, it's amazing. You know, when the wild card got expanded, the purpose was to get more teams involved for longer. And that's exactly what you saw this season. It doesn't mean that all the playoff teams are great, because the wild card teams sort of limped to the finish, and the Cubs and Giants faded. The Padres made a late run, but the season wasn't long enough for them. The Diamondbacks got in along with the Marlins. The cool part is that they're in. The bad part is they got to play a team like the Phillies, who's just a better team, and you have to play all 3 games on the road.
Right.
So the Marlins have to go to Citizens Bank and win 2 out of 3, something they've done twice already this year. So I wouldn't count them out, but they've got injuries to the point where I don't think they can do it. And the Phillies are the largest favorites of any of the series that are happening in the wild card round. So I would expect the Phillies to prevail.
The other National League series, I find it interesting that the Diamondbacks, in Game 1 of this series, are starting a guy who's 3-9 on the year.
Isn't that amazing what's happening? People can't find starters because when you sign them, they get hurt or they're ineffective. You know, the Texas Rangers thought they had a great rotation with DeGrom and Scherzer, and they're both neither of them are going to pitch. The Brewers have injuries. The Marlins have tons of injuries. And when you look at what the Diamondbacks had to do to get in the playoffs, it just doesn't line up right for them, whereas the Brewers are lined up straight with Corbin Burns starting. On the other hand, Diamondbacks are a fun team. No one really has watched them. Big surprise this year. They've got the Rookie of the Year. If you've never watched him play, a guy named Corbin Carroll. He's just super fun to watch.
He is.
And really good at baseball. So I think the Brewers prevail there, but don't overlook the Diamondbacks. They're not a terrible team.
I've said a couple weeks ago, I think the Diamondbacks are like the most anonymous team in baseball. Like, nobody seems to know people that play for the Diamondbacks.
I think it's probably a tie with the Diamondbacks, with the Marlins. I think people have heard of Jazz Chisholm because of the show, and Arias because he won the batting title, and maybe Carroll because he's the Rookie of the Year. Maybe they've heard of Zach Gallen, who's the good starter who was in Cy Young contention throughout the course of the season. I'm not sure anyone can name either the Marlins manager or the Diamondbacks manager, though they are really good managers in Skip Schumacher and Torey Lovullo. So that's the best part about October, that now everybody's watching, and you're going to learn about players and teams, and you're going to enjoy games, and they're not going to last 4 hours.
We know Schumacher because he was with the Redbirds at one time, wasn't he not? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Redbirds here in Memphis, and then, of course, the Cardinals. So let me go back before we dive into the other series here in the first round, in the wild card round. You mentioned a bunch of these injuries, and a bunch of them are pitchers. So here we go. We are in the day and age where pitchers are taken out early. They don't throw the big high pitch counts, yet it seems like we have as many or more injuries than we had back in the day. Now, maybe back in the day we just didn't hear about those injuries as much, but it just seems like there's more pitchers that are hurt now than there were before. You have a guy like Blake Snell, probably win another Cy Young Award, and the guy's never pitched beyond the 7th inning. I don't even understand that. So is there a correlation? What's going on?
Yeah, I personally think it's velo-related. Everyone's trying to throw. If you throw 97, 98, you're normal now, where it used to be that was exceptional. And the human arm just can't do that. And that's what we try to tell people when you're signing pitchers to long-term deals. It's not going to work out because the chance of them being healthy over the course of a deal is so rare. Verlander was okay under his previous deal, Scherzer under his previous deal, but eventually Father Time catches up to you. And pitchers are not being taught to hold anything back. They're not being taught to actually pitch like a Greg Maddux. They're just taught to throw it as hard as you possibly can, and that's why you have so many injuries. And I don't see that trend changing because speed is what these players are taught, and speed is what front offices look for.
It's amazing, and because if even like you watch college baseball, the amount of guys who are throwing 96, 97, like it's amazing how many guys now, how that has become, as you said, that just makes you normal now.
It's something that we had a guy in our bullpen, a guy named Matt Lindstrom, got him from the Mets. He threw 100, and he didn't have a secondary pitch, and we thought it was the coolest thing ever to have a guy come in and hit triple digits. And now it's just ordinary. And to me, as I think about building a team, I like what Tampa does, where you've never heard of half their team or half their bullpen. They come in, they throw hard, they don't get signed to long-term deals, and they get exchanged and blown out, and then you get the next group in. I think that there's a good lesson there in how you can build a winning team. And it's going to be fascinating to see what happens in these playoffs, because you've got so many teams with low payrolls, and the biggest teams with the highest payrolls are watching, just like you and I are. Mm-hmm. And that could have an interesting impact on how teams are built moving forward.
All right, you brought up Tampa Bay. Let's segue to Tampa Bay and Texas. The Rays' 99 wins came up a little short in their battle with the Orioles for the division title. What do you think of that series?
What a great series if everyone were pitching who was supposed to be pitching. The Rays have, I think, 45 guys who got Tommy John. The Rangers do not have their top two pitchers, and Eovaldi's been mediocre since he came back from injury at best. So it's really about offense. And the Rangers' offense is second to none, maybe. Well, they're second to Atlanta, except Tampa's got a really good one, too. And you're going to watch some players like their third baseman. You're going to watch Diaz. They don't even miss Franco, which is quite amazing, because he's not going to play at all. And then you see that the Rays can put out Glasnow today, who used to be an ace and then got hurt. And their number one free agent signing ever pitches tomorrow in Eflin. They've never given more money to a free agent. I think the advantage has to go to the Rays, but Bruce Bochy, it's hard to ever bet against it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a track record, that is for sure. The other series in the American League, the Twins are one of those like consistent franchises that seems to win. Nobody really thinks about them, but they find ways to win fairly consistently. The Blue Jays have a lot of big-name guys on there. Anytime you're battling in the AL East, you know you're pretty darn good. But what do you think of the Blue Jays and Twins?
The irony of the Blue Jays is that their pitching staff may be the best of any of the 12 teams still around, from top to bottom. Their lineup's been a bit of a disappointment. There's no denying that. Their team has really just been okay. And in a season when the Yankees and Red Sox were so bad, you would have expected them to win their division. But they got caught behind Tampa and Baltimore, and they kept thinking they'd turn it on and never really did. But they got into the playoffs, and the question is, can they turn it on starting now on the road up in Minnesota? As far as Minnesota, I don't think they've won a playoff game since I was born. They just seem to get into the playoffs and then get swept. Of course, I'm joking. They've won a World Series, but it's I'm old. But that said, they haven't won, I think they're 0 for their last 18 or 19. And so they really, tonight's game is critical. They've got Pablo Lopez going, who is their top starter they got from the Marlins, and they traded the batting champ for him. But he's going against Toronto's best pitcher, the Cy Young candidate, Kevin Gausman. To me, this series is decided tonight. The others could go 3. You could have a team lose game 1 and then win 2 in a row. But for me in the Twins-Jays series, the winner tonight wins the series.
Dave Sampson joining us, host of the Nothing Personal podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at David P. Sampson. He's the former president of the Marlins, so you're the perfect one to answer this question. I know the Dodgers are really, really good. I know they are. The Braves just, come on. The season they've had is unbelievable. I said, I don't know how many times I've said it on the show, that it would be a huge disappointment if the Braves don't win it all. As a former president of a Major League Baseball team, if you were the president of the Braves and they didn't win the World Series title, would it be a big disappointment or not?
I'd be upset, but no, I wouldn't call it that, because it's really hard to win the World Series no matter how good you are. And the Braves are the best team. There's no doubt about it. But during the course of the playoffs, weird stuff happens. You could have a ground ball that should be a double play that goes 10 inches to the right of a glove, and all of a sudden it's a 2-run single, and you lose a game that way. You've got a starting pitcher who's been great, and all of a sudden he gives it up in the first 2 innings, and you lose a game that way. You've got an offense that was historic, but they go on a sort of a 5-game hiatus, just a 5-game hiatus, and you can lose the division series to the winner of the Phillies-Marlins series. And that doesn't take away from their season, but it doesn't end in the ring. And Atlanta's the best example, actually. Do you remember over the 90s they won the division every year, like 14 years in a row?
I bring it up all the time.
And they got one ring.
Right.
One.
And it's a disappointment. That whole era was a disappointment with just one ring. No?
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'd rather be the Marlins and have 2 rings and not make the playoffs any other time. The people in Atlanta tell you that they'd rather make the playoffs every time and get 1 ring, and I say that's a bunch of horse hockey. Give me the jewelry. No one cares about the regular season. No one cares about winning 100 games. No one cares about winning the pennant. It's all about winning the World Series, period.
Yes, absolutely.
In the National League, it looks as though it will come down to the Braves and Dodgers. I mean, again, as you said, crazy things happen in baseball, but those 2 teams are clearly the best 2. In the American League, who is the best team, do you believe?
This is not a popular answer. I think the best team from top to bottom is Houston, and I think that their biggest competitor is Baltimore for being the best team. But it's wide open. But I picked before the season started that the Astros would repeat and be the first team to repeat since 1998, Yankees, who won 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. And I had them beating the Braves in the World Series. So I feel like I'm still in the game. And if I don't double down now, then what am I doing? I made it this far, so I'm still going to take the Astros over the Braves in the World Series, and the Astros becoming what is the greatest dynasty truly of my lifetime, because I wasn't alive for those great Yankees dynasties.
All right, couple of other things outside of the actual playoffs. What did you think, and I know we've had you on and you've talked about him before, but what did you think of the video that has surfaced with Trevor Bauer?
So I just recorded live, nothing personal, and I spent quite a bit of time talking about that. So I'd encourage everyone to go listen to that podcast or watch it on YouTube. But I will give you a summary to your audience, which is I understand what Trevor Bauer is saying, because there are many circumstances where players get entrapped and that they are targets because people want their money. On the other hand, a lot of what he said in the video is just not true. MLB did a full investigation. There was a full arbitration in front of an arbitrator, and he was suspended for 194 games. There is nothing in that video that MLB did not know. And so for him to make claims about what a judge said, which if you read the opinion the judge didn't say, it's misleading. On the other hand, and I don't want to mention her name, she's not an angel either here. And I'm not victim shaming or victim blaming. They're both at fault. If the text messages that he claims she actually sent, then she is at fault for wanting to do that to a player. However, no matter how much you want someone's money or how much you want to be famous, that does not mean that you should ever be assaulted, ever. There is never, no matter what, you can't hit a woman. You can't do anything without a woman's consent, anything, especially the level of kink that Trevor Bauer seems to like. This is a sad story, every way.
Do you believe in this video that he showed a video of the woman in the bed with him smiling at the camera? He says it was the morning after or the day after the alleged assault happened, and you don't see any marks or scratches on her face, and of course she's giving that little grin to the camera. Do they know for sure that was the day after?
Well, I certainly didn't see a timestamp on the video.
Right, nor did I.
And so the answer is I don't know. And that's why I say there's no winners here, because there is a picture of her floating out there with bruises and swollen lips, but we don't know when that's from.
Right.
But I didn't do the investigation. MLB did, and they found enough, and an arbitrator upheld it. Now, they brought it down from 320 to 190. But that said, there is a mountain of evidence that something bad happened. Now, that cell phone video that she purportedly took of herself looking good with him sleeping, that's not great. It's not great that a woman would do that with a player and that it's some sort of conquest to get money. I don't like that. I try to protect our players from that happening because it happens all the time. And that's why I say in this example, I think they're both wrong. But let me be clear again, for everybody listening, you can never hit a woman ever, no matter what.
Is there any chance he ever pitches in Major League Baseball again?
I don't know how to get through the press conference.
Yeah.
I don't know how you announce that you signed Trevor Bauer.
And
I can't figure out how, so I do not think that any team will sign him.
Do you believe Wander Franco is done too?
That's a tougher one. I don't know enough. He's been quiet. I know it won't be dealt with during October, so we're not going to hear more about him or Urias until the playoffs are over. I don't know enough, and I haven't seen what baseball has found. If baseball suspends him for a year or two, listen, I thought of something on this issue. What if he were 18 and his girlfriend were 16 and they were high school sweethearts? Mm-hmm. Now, that's the letter of the law. You're not allowed to do it, but I've been to high school. I've had kids go to prom. Mm-hmm. I was a senior in high school once. On the other hand, if he's a sexual predator who has an affliction for young girls, he's done, as he should be, and he should lose his freedom. We just don't know enough right now.
As Dave said, he'll have much more on his podcast, the Nothing Personal podcast, on the Trevor Bauer situation. He is the former president of the Marlins. He is the host of the Nothing Personal podcast and a regular contributor to the Dan Le Batard Show. He is David Sampson. You can follow him on Twitter at David P. Sampson. Enjoy the playoffs. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, David, as always.
Hey, great catching up. Speak soon. Have a great day.
Take care.
Folks, moving can be stressful, but if you get the professionals from Black Tie Moving to help you, they can take a lot of that stress and worry out of the process for you. Whether you're moving across town or across country, wherever you're headed, you want to make sure that all your belongings, everything gets where it's going without any problems, and the whole process goes as smoothly as possible. And that's exactly what Black Tie Moving does for you, as they've done for so many others. A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, 5-star ratings online all over the place, because they are the best in the business, and you don't have to worry about things. You can know that your belongings are getting there. You know that's all going to be smooth. Heck, if there's anything that comes up during the process, you've got a moving concierge available to you 24/7 to answer those questions for you. All you got to do to get the process started, well, that's give them a call. 901-316-6196, or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis. Talk with them. They come up with a plan with you, fitting both your needs and your budget, and you get a no-obligation quote up front as well. So give the folks at Black Tie Moving a call, 901-316-6196, or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis.
Didn't mention it earlier, but we obviously did not have Jeff Crane on this week. Jeff will return next week in his normal time slot to talk University of Memphis athletics. We got one more segment to go in hour number 2. It's coming up. And then in hour 3, we open up with Rich Duncan. He's the head coach of the Rhodes Lynx. He's a regular contributor to us during our Rhodes segment, and they're coming off a nice W, so we'll talk some college football with Coach Rich Duncan when we get back for hour 3. But right now, a quick timeout. Hour 2 continues right after this, right here on Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Oh, come on, it's funny.
Can't do it.
Trick or treat, here's some meat.
Seriously, the Central Barbecue spot for October has been about Halloween for like 5 straight years.
Look, you've done the ladling Central Barbecue beans into their bag thing.
Yeah, I got in trouble both times. They didn't like the phrase ladling beans into their bag.
Well, what else happens in October? Hey, I tell you what, do they do any pumpkin spice stuff?
God, no.
That's good. I'm tapped for anything else for October. How about just a straight spot about how great the food is at Central Barbecue?
What, like Central Barbecue has the best slow-smoked ribs in Memphis?
Yeah, something like that.
Too boring.
It doesn't matter, we're out of time anyway.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
They're taking care of beerness in Memphis right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called Godhopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Now, back to Sports 56 Mornings.
Isn't it a lovely morning?
On Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
If you missed our interview with Memphis Tigers freshman guard Carl Sharonfont, we have it posted now on the website at sportsmemphis.com. Just go to featured audio, and it is up there for you to listen to. A very young, astute, articulate young man from Florida who's a part of this Memphis Tigers team, and I think there's going to be big things coming from Carl Sharonfont. I am a big fan already. If you missed it last night, NFL Monday Night Football, you didn't miss much. Seattle all over the New York Giants by the score of 24-3. Just an ugly game. We needed Taylor Swift. She was there Sunday night, but she was not there at MetLife Stadium on Monday night.
Did you see the television ratings for the Sunday night game?
Unbelievable.
Somehow Taylor Swift being in a suite draws people to watch a game. The increase in women viewers was incredible. Like, it's unbelievable.
Just to get a peek at her?
They watch because they now hear that Taylor Swift is there, and so they watch the game.
I understand fandom, but, I mean, that's just crazy. To get a look at her on television in a suite having a drink.
According to now Nielsen's stupid and dumb anyway, but girls 12 to 17 was up 53%. Women 18 to 24 up 24%. And women 35 plus up 34%.
Again, maybe they've never seen Travis Kelce. They were hoping to get a glimpse of Travis Kelce, although he's got a helmet on. I don't get it. It's so easy for Taylor Swift, for all the Swift fans, man. Go to YouTube, watch her videos. There's a million different ways to see her. What do you expect her to do? She's in a suite with a drink in her hand. That's it.
Speaking of Taylor Swift, there was somebody that was watching the game that brought up Taylor Swift. I want y'all to listen.
Taylor Swift not at this game? I thought she goes to MetLife for all the New York games.
Oh.
If she was at this game, she left. No celebrities? No celebrities at this game? Why?
Sean O'Hara.
He's the best we can get.
Yep.
Yes, she should have. She would have left. Everybody should have left that game.
Yeah, that was Eli Manning, of course, and then his brother Peyton on the Manning cast. But yeah, I think a lot of people did leave that game. Well, we know they did because, again, they had the shot of the taillights of the cars leaving MetLife Stadium sometime in the third quarter, and then Aikman and Buck's reaction was terrific. If you missed this earlier, our topic for tomorrow's 5 favorite things, your 5 favorite comedians who starred in a television sitcom or drama. They didn't even have to star. They were just in a sitcom or drama. 5 favorite comedians who were in a television sitcom or drama. You cannot use variety shows. So you can't use Saturday Night Live or In Living Color or The Chappelle Show. It's comedies or dramas. 5 favorite comedians who were in a television sitcom or drama for tomorrow. The mayoral race is Thursday. The mayoral election is Thursday. It's right now. I for some reason, I thought it was in November. I had no idea. I've seen the spots on television. I've seen the signs in everybody's yards, and I'm thinking November. It's Thursday, so I didn't get the early voting. I'd have to go Thursday to vote. There's a million different candidates, but there is one candidate who we've known for a long, long time. He's the former mayor, Willie Harrington, who I think we've had him on this show, or I've had him on one of my radio shows in the past, and he was big in helping land Tyson Lewis, big boxer, boxing fan, and a boxer himself. So he's always been a big fan of sports. Yesterday he was on local talk radio, and he was discussing the stadium issue. And he said, which I don't think people disagree, the priority would be the Grizzlies. But, how much of a priority? What are we talking about here? But it is almost a certainty that this stadium issue is going to linger into the next administration. And Mayor Jim Strickland, who did so much hard work and diligence to get the state to give $350 million to this project or projects, he's not going to be here to see it come to fruition. It's going to happen, I think, but it doesn't appear it will happen under his administration. So now we sit and wait, figure out what's going on. Don't know if the Grizzlies still have a final number yet on the projection of what it will take to refurbish FedEx Forum. And certainly that benefits the University of Memphis as well. And I completely agree. Again, I understand the importance of the Memphis Grizzlies, but the University of Memphis is important as well. And so I hope that doesn't mean, let's do this at any cost. Who cares what happens with the other project? And really, there are 3 projects aside from FedEx Forum, but we know those final 2, the new soccer stadium and the further refurbishment to AutoZone Park. The team itself did some as well, fixed the Jumbotron and all that stuff. But that ain't happening. I mean, that's not even a conversation piece anymore. But whether or not the number that is needed to do it right at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium is met, what it will take to meet, obviously it's going to be well beyond the $350 million from the state, allocated by the state. We don't know. We don't know the numbers yet. This thing is now into October, and we still don't have an answer, and we're about to change administrations here. So it is pretty crazy. We need to take a timeout. When we come back, hour number 3 of the program, we will open up talking some Rhodes, college Lynx football. Rich Duncan, the head coach of Rhodes, will join us, and that'll be to open up hour 3. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Fall time, game time, food time, fun time. It's all Dave and Buster's time. Watch the game at Dave & Buster's, 2751 Wolf Creek Parkway, and get $4 pints all day, every day. Plus $5 appetizer bites all day, every day. Join the fun and games after 4 p.m. every Monday and Thursday and get all-you-can-eat wings. All at Dave & Buster's, 2751 Wolf Creek Parkway. Fall is here, and that means games, food, and fun at Dave & Buster's.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Hi, everybody. It's the Herd. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business and evolving your passions. They push what technology can do so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. There's still a couple of minor accidents out here, but we see heavy traffic in a couple of spots. It's just now really starting to get busy on 385 Bill Morris Parkway coming inbound, passing Kirby, all the way to 240 as that traffic continues to build out of Collierville. Trying to get up through Midtown right now. The normal stuff on 240 North as you travel between Norris all the way up to Union. Still looks good at the moment. I-40 across the bridge over from West Memphis. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, they're back open better than ever. Go by and see David and the family today at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Acura of Memphis.
Okay, this car looks great wrapped around you,
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
The body's a temple. That's why we're talking. Welcome back, everyone. 9:03 the time. Hour number 3 here on Sports 56 Mornings. Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Zach Boyd with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale, continues at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently 67 degrees as you get your Tuesday morning rolling. Partly cloudy skies. We're looking at sunshine today. High of 91 tonight. Partly cloudy with a low of 68. Time now to talk some Rhodes College links.
It's time to go inside Rhodes College Athletics on Sports 56 Mornings. Every week, a representative from Rhodes will join Greg and Eli to talk about all things Lynx. Let's go inside Rhodes Athletics now on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It is always nice to talk about a dub. And the Rhodes Lynx got a football win last Saturday. Coach Rich Duncan joining us in studio, the head football coach of the Rhodes Lynx. You can follow him on Twitter at Coach Rich Duncan. It was Rhodes improving to 3-2 with a 31-7 win over Southwestern University. Coach, good to see you again. Congratulations on the win.
Thanks, Greg and Eli. I appreciate you having me on.
Nice bounce back. You had the tough road trip to Texas. We talked about that last week. You wondered how the guys would respond. You felt they'd be very resilient. They were. Came out there, mission accomplished.
Yeah, really proud of the way our guys, we had 2 tough losses 2 weeks in a row in way different ways. Got beaten triple overtime, then kind of got run off a little bit. And I was really proud of the way our team responded. We played well in all 3 phases of the game. We scored early on offense to get out to a lead. Our defense played pretty electric, and we threw an interception that led to their only score. We stopped them, and they scored on our defense. But without that interception, I don't think they would have scored. And it was a pretty solid effort all around.
So we talked last night. So this was the Battle of the Southwesterns. Do they have to change their name now?
I don't know, but we're keeping that one. It was kind of funny. It was a little pregame banter too, kind of going on between the teams. So we're 1-0 right now in the Battle of Southwesterns.
Evan Reeder gets the start again at quarterback, 20 of 28, 301, 3 touchdowns, did throw a couple of picks, also ran the ball well, 12 attempts for 59 yards. So again, I'm using the air quotes, backup quarterback, another solid effort.
Yeah, I thought Evan played great. I thought he was a little bit slow getting started, but once he got in the rhythm, things went pretty well for Evan. And, it'll be interesting. I think we'll get Houston back this week. I think we're going to play both. I think we're going to be tough to prepare for because they're 2 different style quarterbacks. One's a righty, one's a lefty. One's more of a runner, one's more of a pocket passer. But they both have a unique skill set, and I think it makes our offense even more dangerous.
You were telling us before we went on there, you had quite a goal line stand in this game.
Yeah, it was a heck of a play. We made a tackle and stopped it about 6 inches short of the goal line to make it 1st and goal. And, they went tush-push twice. We were able to stop that. On 3rd down, we forced them out of it and got them, tackled them for a 3 or 4 yard loss and then blocked the field goal at the end of the sequence. And it was a heck of a stand by our defense for sure. You
were mentioning before we went back on air from the commercial break that on one of those sequences they brought in they took the quarterback out and brought in a running back, was it?
They brought in a specialty player to run
like
the
a wildcat.
tush push. Yep.
Okay, and he runs the tush push and gets hurt.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
And I think we talked about this last week, but you believe, like I believe, that they are going to eventually outlaw the tush push?
I really do. I think, it's really hard when you look at the way that we've made the rules for PAT and field goal, that you can't push an aided defender to go block a PAT field goal, that you can push your aided defender to run the football in a scrum like that. And, I'll be honest, that's the first time I've seen the tush push live in a game, one of our games. And, there's 22 people around the football, and that pile is it's pretty vicious in there. And, they had 6 inches to go. We were able to hold them from the 6 inches twice, but that pile went straight vertical, and the quarterback ended up getting pulled off the pile. And I don't know if he got the wind knocked out of him or you got the shoulder hit, but, there was a long delay while they got him off the field, and then we forced them out of it on 3rd down.
So what on that, as you mentioned, you stopped it twice. So what is it? Just are you telling your guys you got to get lower than them? How are you stopping that?
It's really funny. We do a thing called the big red ball at our place, and it's 2 versus 2 on this big cut ball, and you got to move the ball 3 yards in one direction or the other to win. And it's something I've done part of my coaching career for a long time. But when we saw this thing come up, and we saw them run it in practice, in games before, so we were ready for it. And we told our defense, hey man, this is just a big red ball. You got to get underneath them. You got to fight for leverage. You got to keep moving your feet, and you got to refuse to lose. And fortunately, we were able to come out ahead in that battle.
And I understand that type of philosophy, attitude by every single coach on both sides. The defense, like, we can hold them. The offense, we can get 6 inches. We can get a foot. We can get a yard. I understand that. Macho, right? Physical, let's do it. We can get this. But it seems like to me, and I've been watching football for a long, long time, every time that quarterback bootlegs, he scores. I've never seen a bootleg not work. He fakes that thing and goes around. Nobody's getting that guy. Why does it always, at least in my opinion, it seems like the bootleg always works, but most of the time it's not called?
That's an interesting question, Greg, because I think it's an attitude thing, right? You get the ball and
yes.
you want to be a macho guy, and you want to be able to impose your will on the opponent, and that's kind of what football is a little bit. The game is imposing your will on the other guy, and when you get into those short yardage situations, everybody's instinct is to kind of, hey, we're going to go and we're going to pound this forward for an inch, or we're going to do it whatever we got to do. And you're right. When the quarterback pulls it out naked and goes the other way, very seldom, because everybody's committed to stopping that, 1 foot, 1 yard, 1 inch, whatever it is.
And in today's football, the thing that drives a lot of people crazy watching it is when they get down there and still go from the shotgun, and everybody's like, well, why are you going shotgun?
Yes.
Why won't you get up under center? Why are you taking the ball that far back when you only got to get 6 inches? But a lot of many of these quarterbacks, I guess, heck, they don't even know how to take snaps from under center.
We're a shotgun offense, but we do have in our short yardage package, we get under center. And, I think that when I started coaching, everybody was under center. Then we had to teach our guy how to be a shotgun quarterback and catch that snap and keep his eyes up. And then you get to the point where you're recruiting high school quarterbacks that have never been under center, so they've never had that experience. So I think sometimes in coaching, we overthink things. It's not that hard to take a snap center exchange. You put your hands under there, you get them right, the center gets it up, and we do it, but we probably will only get under center maybe 8-9 times a year, and we practice it maybe 2 minutes. That's kind of the deal.
It is, because I think to the most people watching, well, how hard can it be? Like, as you say, you put your hands under there, the guy puts the ball into your hands. It shouldn't be that difficult.
I think it's more so that it's a pressure situation. It's a big-time situation. And as a coach, you feel bad if you put a guy in a position that you really don't work on a lot, and that kid makes a mistake that really comes back on the coach in the way you feel as a coach, that, man, I didn't put the kid in the best position to be successful. But, heck, football's a game of taking chances, too. And you have to be able to willing to gamble with some of the odds.
That's true, but I could see more mistakes happening in the shotgun. Bad snap, bad exchange from the quarterback to the running back. I understand the whole momentum. He comes in there with momentum into that line as opposed to being real close to the line where the quarterback would be in the sneak, and he doesn't have that momentum, that push. That comes back to the tush push. But Memphis, if I'm not mistaken, in their game on Saturday against Boise, had a situation where it was third and very short, less than a yard. They went in shotgun. They were stopped, then came back on fourth down and under center, and you have a quarterback who's pretty tall in Hennigan, and he basically leans over and gets the first down. I don't understand. I'm with Eli 100%. Why you would even go shotgun at all if it's 1 yard or less.
I think it's more so just your based offensive call, and you're changing up what you do, which coaches are creatures of habit.
They are.
We are creatures of habit to the umpth degree. And, sometimes we have to refocus and go, hey, we only need 6 inches. We better get the quarterback up under center. I think sometimes that happens too, as you just get into the part of calling the game.
But you probably don't want your quarterback, or do you, leaping over where
not
that ball can get
extending the ball.
Yes,
we tell the kids we're only going to extend the ball if it's game time decision. It's right at the end, and we've got to get the ball in, and that's the only shot. But anytime you extend the ball, that leads to fumbles. And,
right, exactly.
That particularly in a sneak play where you're not really on the ground, you're on top of players when you do that, which technically you're not down. Especially in the replay game, a lot of times they're going to say that ball was out.
And that's I always find that, because to me, I would think, the instinct of the player is like, hey, I'm close, like, I'm going to how do you try and instill that into don't do it unless it's fourth down or whatever?
Yeah, you just have to talk about it. You don't get a lot of live situations to practice it. And, we've had a couple kids with, they almost catch themselves mid. They start to stick it out, and then you'll see them rip it back because the kind of words are in their mind at that point. But, the players that are really smart, when you watch football, the guys that have a really high football IQ, when they stick it out, they don't leave it out. They pull it right back, but that ball's traveled that distance to where it's extended.
Because I know a lot of people, and I do, like, what do you think of the rule of the fumble that goes into the end zone and out of the end zone, and is that actually recovered, and that the offense loses that ball? Yeah, well,
it's got to be the rule. I don't know what other rule you could have. Because the ball went out of play in through the end zone, you can't bring it back to where it was. Like on fourth down, the rule is you bring it back to where you fumbled. But the rest of the downs, the ball was played where it goes out of bounds, and out of bounds is through the end zone, and you can't have the ball in the end zone.
Because I hear a lot of people say, like, if the defense doesn't recover it, why do they get the benefit of it? Like, a lot of people believe it should just come back to where the ball was fumbled from, because the defense didn't do anything. They didn't recover the ball, but then all of a sudden they get the ball.
Yeah, for as long as this game's been played, that's been the way it is. And, a replay and that rule, there's a lot of discussions that talk radio can talk about in football. But I just don't know that there's any other. I guess you could bring it back to where you fumbled. But then you'd have to bring all fumbles back to where you fumbled, and I don't know that makes sense.
Rich Duncan is joining us. He's the coach of the Rhodes Lynx football squad. They're 3-2 after knocking off Southwestern University last Saturday at Crane Field here in Memphis, 31-7. They'll be on the road at Millsaps coming up this Saturday. We'll discuss that in just a moment. You mentioned the goal line stand. We don't single out too many times the defensive stalwarts, but who are a couple of guys on the defensive side that really helped in this 31-7 win?
Yeah, Evan Bird plays safety for us, and I think he's probably the best safety in our conference. And he's just been consistent week in and week out. Hart Penfield's an outside linebacker for us over from Bryan, Arkansas, that is just a really gritty player. And then we've got, I would say probably defensively we're kind of like the no-name defense. We've got a lot of guys that play really good football, and they're all really good football players. But, Hart and Evan kind of stand out a little bit above. But we've got, we rotate. We're probably playing 21, 22 guys on defense. We're rotating guys through, and we're other than 1 week of football, we've played really good football, and it proved that, last week Trinity came back and put up another big number on a really good football team, so their offense is pretty dang good.
Millsaps just got their first win of the year this past week. What do you expect out of them?
They've got a freshman quarterback out of Alabama, a kid that's coach's son, and they brought him into the lineup about 3 weeks ago, and he's really changed their dynamic. They got beat 100-9 their first two games, and since then they've played three really tight one-score football games, and the kid's been the difference for their offense. They've struggled a little bit on getting stops on defense, but you can see them getting better on film. It's a first-year head coach, new staff, and I think it's taken a little bit of time to get their feet under them, but you can definitely see the improvement through 5 games for them.
You talked about bouncing back from the game at Trinity to play the way you played this past Saturday. How about coming off a W where you're feeling good about yourself? You look at Millsaps, even though they're coming off a W, and say, they haven't had a great year. We should go in there. How do you get those players' mindset straight and narrow? Hey, we got to come ready to play because they can beat us, as opposed to this will be a walk in the park.
Yeah, in college football, Greg, it's tough to win on the road. I don't care what the lines are, what the matchups are. In college football, it's different than the NFL, particularly at our level. We're not flying charter into every. It's not a travel of convenience, and typically a home team gets 7 points. Particularly in small college football, just from the travel situation. And, our kids know we spend a lot of time with, hey, on the road is different. It's special every time you win a road game in college football. I think we've got a pretty mature football team right now, guys that really love playing football. We had a long talk last night. This is a rivalry game. Millsaps always gets up and ready to play Rhodes, and we went in and spoiled their homecoming. We're there 2 years in a row the way their schedule quirked this year. We added a team to the league. So we went there, spoiled their homecoming a year ago, and beat them pretty soundly. They'll be ready to play us. And I think our kids know it. We've got a group that understands the game of football.
And I guess as you talk about the travel, you really like games like this where it's on the road. It's a short trip.
Yeah, this one's short for us. 3 hours is a short trip in our league. And, we're able to do it all. Game time's 3 o'clock, so we're going to get up in the morning, travel down morning of, and then, travel back after the game. So it's a one-day travel. After last week where we were 4-day travel, this one-day travel is pretty easy.
You like that.
Final thing for you, completely different topic, but it's something we've talked about on the show many, many times over the years. Do you have conversations with your offense about situations where it's late in the game and you're in control and a guy would be going in for a touchdown, but you would rather him not score that touchdown because the only way the other team has a chance is to get the ball back and then onside kick and all that? Do you talk to him about that, or do you just say, just score?
No, we practice not scoring. I think you're talking about the play from the Chiefs game last night or 2 nights ago. I don't know which night it was now.
Yes,
but I happened to see. I caught the tail end of it, and I thought it was really smart by Mahomes. I'm sure that I read that it may have affected the betting line a little bit. I saw that as part of my
Killed
feed.
me.
But it was the right play because they can't win without the ball. And once they picked up the first down, the game's over. You can run it out and kneel it. And we try to practice that. It's not something you do every week, but it's something you do every 3-4 weeks. You get in that scenario, and you kind of got to set it up. Because you got to make it happen, which is hard to do sometimes in practice, where you can run for the first down and not score. And in college football, with the way the clock rules are for us, outside of 2 minutes, we can still run out of bounds, and the clock is going to reset and run, which is a little bit different than it was, in some other places where you play football. So we got to coach some of those scenarios as well. But that scoring when at the end's a big one, because I was actually younger in my coaching career. We were able to come back and tie a game because the team scored in that situation. And I think I was 24 or 25 years old at the time, and I've never forgotten it. I always said if I became a head coach, we're going to practice that situation.
Yeah, the Chiefs 2 nights ago, he chose not to score. Last night, the Giants weren't choosing not to score. They just couldn't.
They just couldn't. They just couldn't score.
They looked like they were practicing not scoring as well.
Well, didn't we have you were at the game? Didn't we have the situation? Because I know Lane was mad that the guy scored late in the game. What was that situation with Ole Miss and LSU? That he explained they could have kicked a field goal, but he went down.
A lot of people had a problem with the Eagles throwing a deep ball to score the touchdown that gave Redskins, the Commanders, a minute and a half rather than run more of the clock, either score the touchdown later or kick the field goal, giving them no time to go score. But they scored the touchdown. Commanders went down, scored the touchdown to answer, and then, of course, they won in overtime. But that's where people were criticizing them for throwing a deep pass to get that touchdown at that point where, to me, that was a tie game. Like, you just got to score. If you got the opportunity to score in a tie game to take the lead, you just got to do it.
Yeah, when the game's tied, all bets are off. We're not trying to manage the clock. You missed a couple of weeks ago, we missed a field goal right at the end of regulation that sent it to triple overtime loss, right? And we were milking the clock in that situation, but I think all bets are off in a tie football game. You go and score when you can score, and then you play good defense and play good special teams, and you hope for the best.
I know field goals, especially at the pro level, are pretty much automatic. Certainly at the college level, I'm not trusting the kid. Like, I just don't. If I get in the end zone, I'm getting in the end zone
for sure, 100%. I mean, just to put, you take a lot of pressure off of everybody when you can put it in for 6 rather than having to kick it for 3. So,
good luck at Millsaps.
Appreciate you guys.
We'll talk to you next week. That's Coach Rich Duncan. Again, you can follow him on Twitter at Coach Rich Duncan. He joins us every week, and we will continue with Rhodes Athletics after the college football season. Zoe Goodson will be in for men's basketball. We'll talk a little women's basketball as well and do this all the way into the spring. So, again, we look forward to more conversations with the coaches from Rhodes Athletics. We need to take a quick time out. Before we do so, though, I want to tell you about a great place for hot wings, and that's the Crazy Coop, 7199 Highway 64 between Appling and Kirby Whitten, and the Crazy Coop Express, not far from us, at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. If you're looking for the entire menu, the big menu, that's the Bartlett store. You can go there. You can get the delicious catfish sandwiches, those juicy half-pound burgers, all the great sides, including the fried okra, the green tomatoes, the fried dill pickles, but, of course, either restaurant for the Crazy Coop wings, and that's what they're all about. 27 different seasonings, and that's what makes the wings. Everything from the mango habanero, which is a sweet taste of mango, followed by the heat or the sweet maple bourbon. The taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. 27 delicious flavors. They will cater any event. And, of course, what goes great with football, what's synonymous with football, tailgating, it's, of course, chicken wings. If you haven't tried them, you're missing out. It's the Crazy Coop, 7199 Highway 64 between Appling and Kirby Whitten, and the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. We'll take a quick time out. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
What do you get when you have a dream, a beer, and a business plan? Meddlesome Brewing. Meddlesome's classic ales and lagers capture the true Memphis spirit. Strong, tenacious, and unforgettable. Meddlesome captures true Memphis spirit as well with community events including Ska-toberfest Saturday, October 14th with plenty of bands and plenty of brews like Memphis Style and 201 Hopler. Meddlesome Brewing on Trinity in Cordova just east of Shelby Farms. On tap and can packages. Meddlesome Brewing. Never settle, always metal.
Response to the all-new Genesis Diamonds has been incredible. People are loving what we've brought to Memphis. Genesis is a different kind of jewelry store with more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place at prices you never thought possible. What's the Genesis secret? Our owner was born and raised in the diamond industry in Tel Aviv. After selling wholesale to high-end jewelry retailers for years, he hated the insane markups they were getting away with. So he stopped selling to the stores and started selling direct to the public. That philosophy is still a core part of Genesis DNA as we continue to sell the highest quality diamonds at true no middleman direct importer prices. With international connections and massive buying power, Genesis has what it takes to beat anyone else's price every day on every diamond. Discover the Genesis difference, forever changing how people in Memphis buy diamonds and fine jewelry. Now open at Poplar & Perkins, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets' offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win, FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Hi, this is Jonah Gamble, left guard from the University of Memphis football team. Is your credit card rewarding you for everyday purchases? Southern Security has the perfect low-interest reward card that will upgrade your wallet. Max rate is 18%, no annual fees, no cash advance fees. For more information, visit southernsecurity.org or by calling our member service team at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is a proud sponsor of the University of Memphis.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Acura of Memphis.
Get them to sign on the line which is dotted.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Gonna put the world away for a minute, pretend I don't live in it. Sunshine gonna wash my blues away.
We just ran that commercial with Jonah Gamble of the Memphis Tigers. Jonah got banged up a little bit at the end of the win over Boise State. Had a chance to talk to him. He was in a lot of pain. Wasn't so sure whether or not he'd get back in the game. He did not get back in the game, but Coach Ryan Silverfield yesterday meeting the media, talking about him, that he feels he'll be just fine as they have that extra week to prepare for Tulane a week from this Friday. Coach Silverfield was the guest speaker last night at the Touchdown Club, talking Tiger football, off to a 4-1 start. But again, the Tigers off this week. Really, if you look around the nation, Eli, as far as big games, there's a lot of, I think, big games in the SEC. And other than that, even the Pac-12, really not a lot of great matchups against, the top-tier teams playing each other. There's, of course, the Red River rivalry, which is the one that stands out above every game. But other than that, I don't think it's a great schedule this weekend.
Well, certainly Oklahoma, Texas, is the highlight game of the weekend. And if Texas is able to win this one, they certainly would appear to be on track for at least an undefeated regular season. You start looking down that schedule and trying to find losses, and it gets very difficult if they get by this one. But there are some other top 25 matchups, some of those interesting teams that, once again, you get Notre Dame against Louisville. Louisville's another one of those teams that, like, okay, they're undefeated, but how good really are they? We find out more about them. Of course, Notre Dame pulled out the miracle win after blowing their lead against Duke and having to convert on the 4th and 16 with Sam Hartman running for the first down on their final drive, and then eventually punching it into the end zone for the win in that one.
And it was a shame for Duke late in that game. Riley Leonard, after they gave up the lead, got hurt. He has a high ankle sprain. Duke's a good football team. They should have won that game, but give Notre Dame credit to come back and win. But, yeah, as you said, you have Louisville. We really don't know much about them. I know a lot about Maryland. They're 5-0. I don't expect them to be close to beating Ohio State. They may be able to score some points. Ohio State's a 19.5-point favorite, so it tells you what the odds makers think. Maryland's got a good offense. Maybe keep it within 19.5, but I don't see them beating Ohio State. And I think that's the problem, is Maryland is that next tier. You got Ohio State, you have Michigan, you have Penn State. Maryland, Rutgers, there's a couple of teams that are pretty good, but they're not good enough to beat those type of teams.
It's interesting with Notre Dame playing Louisville this week, that Notre Dame, well, because next week they've got USC. So if USC, I don't know, who's
USC plays Arizona.
Yeah. So if USC wins the game, that will make 4 straight games for Notre Dame against undefeated teams, which you start getting this late in the season, you're not going to get that very often. But they have played Ohio State, Duke, Louisville, USC. They'll have played 4 straight undefeated teams if USC wins this week going into next week's game.
North Carolina had a bye. They're 4-0. How good are they? They're 14th ranked in the country. They play Syracuse. Syracuse is 4-1. They lost to Clemson last week. I think Syracuse is pretty good. North Carolina should win that game. And then, as I mentioned, the Pac-12, Washington State's 4-0. They have UCLA at UCLA. UCLA certainly capable of winning that game. They're 3-1. But it's not a matchup of ranked teams. UCLA is not ranked. And then after that, you look at some of these Pac-12 teams that are ranked and who they play. Oregon State's 15th ranked. They're at Cal. Arizona, as I mentioned, at number 9 USC. So USC and Oregon State ranked should have easy wins. You would think would have easy wins, even though Oregon State is on the road. So I don't think there's much as far as the big or the Pac-12 schedule. But the SEC schedule, we've talked a lot about it already this week with Barrett Sallee yesterday, with Connor O'Gara today. It is a showdown Saturday. We will learn a lot more about some of those SEC schools this Saturday. Texas A&M at home. This is your chance. You're playing great defense. Offensively, much better with Bobby Petrino. Here's Alabama. Alabama's on a nice little run, but they still are questionable at quarterback. Milroe's okay. He's not great. He's not going to pass all around the field on you. And can they get to Milroe? Can that Texas A&M rush get to him like they've been getting to every quarterback? You have Kentucky and Georgia. Is Georgia the Georgia of the past 2 years, or right now are they number 1 unbeaten because they have just been able to do barely enough to win games? Will we see the real Georgia pop up, or is there the real Georgia this year? Maybe Kentucky can spring an upset, so we'll find out about that. Missouri, how good is Missouri? I think they're pretty good. LSU has to bounce back. LSU's toast as far as the playoff with 2 losses, but LSU is still capable of going in there and winning that game. And then Ole Miss has thrust themselves into the conversation in the SEC West after the win over LSU, and they're going to get Arkansas. They can't afford to lose that game. And you talked earlier to our guest Connor O'Gara about Sam Pittman and his status. You know, that would go a long way to keep Arkansas fans faithful to Sam Pittman, because right now I think they're losing that faith.
No, there's no doubt they are starting to. There is a turn in the tides as far as Sam Pittman goes. And again, this 4-game stretch of the schedule was always going to be brutal. That's the loss to BYU going into the stretch really hurt him. The Mississippi State game coming out of it is going to be huge. You know, they'll have come out of this brutal stretch to play that game at home. Mississippi State has a bye week before that game, because if they were to lose that to Mississippi State, that in all likelihood, if they do lose the rest of these road games, then you're talking about 6 straight losses at that point. That's not good. fans don't like to see losing streaks like that. But it's, they got Rocket Sanders back. We'll see what they're able to do defensively against Ole Miss that LSU could not, because most teams that LSU's played this year have stopped Ole Miss from running the football. LSU could not figure out how to stop the run, and then couldn't stop the pass, couldn't stop anything. Those two teams tend to play close games. Arkansas and Ole Miss, it seems to come down to usually some craziness of some sort, and they usually play close games. And he could really use a win. They could really use a win. He could really use a win and it's what Connor Garrett talked about last year with that locker room splintering a little bit. If they do end up winning or losing 5-6 games in a row, where do things stand? There was a lot of question marks about Rocket Sanders and what was really going on with that injury. There's just a lot of question marks around that whole team, and if you keep piling up losses, those are just going to keep piling up as well.
Yeah, Sanders last week returned 11 carries, I think 34 yards off the top of my head, something in that range. It was not good, not a productive day for Rocket Sanders.
The television ratings from last weekend, Colorado had their smallest audience of the season.
It was still probably good.
It was still the number one game of the week, though, as far as viewers are concerned. Their game against USC had 7.24 million viewers, which is the lowest amount for any Colorado game this year. But it also is the 8th most watched college football game of the season. Every Colorado game is in the top 8 of the most watched college football games of the season.
I'm trying to put my finger on why that is. I don't know. They have a new coach, right?
They do. Georgia Auburn was the second most watched this weekend at 6.4 million. So basically 800,000 behind USC Colorado. But here's what you need to do right now. If you put any football game on television, if you can get Deion Sanders and Taylor Swift both there, I think you could draw 100 million viewers.
Don't you hire Taylor Swift if you have a coach? At this point, Michigan State should hire Taylor Swift.
I think you could draw 8 point or you might even get Super Bowl audience if you could get Taylor Swift and Deion Sanders both involved in the game. By the way, did you see Nikola Jokic asked yesterday about Deion Sanders? He knows nothing about Deion Sanders.
Shocking.
Like Jamal Murray was talked about I can't remember I think he kind of went into one of the games, and they're like, Nikola, do you know anything about Deion Sanders? He just shook his head. He's like, no, sorry. Yeah, I don't even know if he knows who Deion Sanders is. I don't know that he even has a clue who Deion Sanders actually is.
By the way, yesterday, I don't know, Zach, if you were in the room, in the media room, when one of the media members asked John Conchar. He goes, oh, yeah. Yeah. He goes, I got a 2-part question for you. And then he asked a legitimate first question. He goes, and the second part is, what was it about Taylor Swift and Travis? Will it last? Did he say something like that? Will Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce last?
Now you're about to make me go find it real quick.
So Conchar, he doesn't break up or laugh or anything, and he answers the first question. He goes, as far as the second question is concerned, I have no idea. I don't know if it'll last. But, yeah, somebody asked John Conchar in the Grizzlies on media day about Swift and Kelce. That was pretty funny. But do you think it was Colorado playing without Travis Hunter down to come back the way they did? Was that more on what Colorado was able to do offensively or how bad USC is defensively? Or maybe they just, we got a big lead and didn't put the effort out. What was it? I could not believe that game, the way it started, ended up 49-41.
Well, USC is not very good defensively, and that's, as Barrett Sallee talked about that's Lincoln Riley. It was his problem at Oklahoma, which held them back from winning, national championships. But that's what it is. But I think on top of them not being good defensively, I think they also got a huge lead and
they lost a little interest.
Didn't really care. Thought this game's over. We don't have to worry about anything. So if you take a bad defense who kind of lets down a little bit, they're really bad. And I think offensively, they just kind of went into all right, this game's over mode. We're not going to do much here. We'll just be happy with what it is. And then all of a sudden it kind of snowballed, and Colorado's right back in the game with a chance to win it.
Yeah, so I went back and listened to it again, and it jogged my memory as he was walking out. So Jitty said, I don't know. And then once he walked off the podium, he said, I'm not a Swiftie, but Taylor Swift in 2010, her stuff in 2010 was pretty good.
That's right. He talked about liking her early stuff.
Yeah,
early stuff was 2010 Taylor.
Yes.
Wow.
So he's a real Swiftie, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, you can say you're not a Swiftie, but if you're going old school 2010, like it feels like you're a Swiftie.
Taylor Swift is how old now?
She's 33.
So 2010, 13 years ago, she was 20 years old. That's when he liked her, when she was 20.
Yeah, that's country Taylor Swift before she became a pop star.
When she first burst on the funny thing is, it was who was the Vikings player? There was some Vikings player because they got the game this week, and he was talking about it.
Oh, it was.
And he said, "I've grown up listening to her," and it's weird to think of hearing somebody say, "I've grown up listening to Taylor Swift," but like she has been around for a while. That's because she was so young when she first came out. But it was like I was like, God, it's like, really? Do we have a generation of people who have grown up listening to Taylor Swift? But we do.
Yes, you have moms and now daughters, or even fathers and daughters or sons that
I was like, man, an NFL player who grew up listening to Taylor Swift.
I know, hard to believe.
It's just weird to me, but it's absolutely true.
Like, I remember singing songs of Taylor Swift in middle school because of it. Just listen to it on the radio. Like, yeah, it's legit. I ain't saying I'm a Swiftie, but I'm just saying.
I think if you're singing songs,
I'm not a diehard,
along, man. I think. You're a hater, though. You're a hater on the relationship. You can't be a Swiftie and be a hater on the relationship.
My memory of Taylor Swift when she got started, I don't know her songs, was Kanye West stealing that award from her or whatever he did. Right?
Yeah, that was funny.
I mean, it was like shocking. I mean, I was like, this poor young girl, man. This guy is just ripping away what is going on here? And of course, she becomes.
One thing she has never been is poor.
Well, maybe she was starting to earn her first millions back then. But man, oh man, it was. I was like, what are you doing, buddy? And then of course, she becomes like the biggest thing since sliced bread.
So, do you think she'll go? Is the game in Minnesota?
I believe it is.
I think that's why they were talking.
Yes, I believe it's Minnesota.
Do we believe she'll go to Minnesota?
Is Mama Kelsey going to be there?
And what will she bring the star-studded entourage that she brought to New York?
I'm double checking to make sure her tour doesn't hit Minnesota.
I don't think she's on tour anymore.
She's not on tour right now.
Oh, she's not?
That's why she's able to go, because her tour is done.
Will she include Jake from State Farm as part of her entourage?
I don't think we're going to see Hugh Jackman and all of that company making the trip to. Although it's not cold in Minnesota yet. A little better to go to Minnesota now than in a couple of months.
All right,
but Minnesota not as cool as New York either.
A couple other college football notes before we take our final timeout. Florida State was off last week. They're back in action. Shouldn't have a problem, I don't believe, with Virginia Tech. And again, that's a team, I wouldn't say flying under the radar. They've already had a couple of huge wins, but certainly Mike Norvell's team is ready to continue on this run and see if they can get to the playoffs, be one of the 4 teams in the postseason. And then you also have Minnesota and Michigan, where I don't believe it will be much of a game. The odds makers don't believe so either. Michigan's a 19.5-point favorite. But I don't think there's that many people right now talking about Michigan. Michigan's obliterating teams. And they have an unbelievable combination of a quarterback who could throw, a great running back, and a defense that could stop you. Now, sometimes you can look at the Big Ten schedule until they play Ohio State and Penn State and go, well, who are they playing? You know, Minnesota's an average team who will play this weekend in Minnesota. But Michigan is leaving no doubts. And even Jim Harbaugh not coaching the team the first 3 games, it didn't really matter. He had family members, for goodness sakes. They're just routing teams. That's a team right now, I think, you better keep an eye on, is Michigan.
Obviously, they're very good. And they have obliterated, but they haven't really played anybody.
Right.
So,
but at least they take care of business. No close shaves.
They're doing what they're expected to do. But I mean, you can look at the rankings, and people realize they're really darn good.
Also, Iowa's lost starting quarterback Cade McNamara, who came from Michigan. He did not return after getting hurt in their 26-16 win over Michigan State. Iowa already has a inept offense. We know that Iowa, if they're winning football games, they're winning with their defense and special teams. Well, McNamara at least has a pulse, and now they don't have McNamara anymore. I look at Iowa, and I just don't see much from them. In fact, that whole Western division, they will lose the divisions next year. They will be adding the teams from the Pac-12. Good riddance divisions, because that West, even though Wisconsin has had some good years, it is just a joke to see that Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State are all in that same division.
Somebody had texted and asked if there's any chance of a Colorado-Memphis bowl game. I don't believe there would be, because
there's no ties to the Big 12.
There's no Pac-12
right?
AAC
or Pac-12,
matchups,
rather, yeah.
and you could get to a situation where it's like two kind of at-large things. But any team with a Pac-12 tie-in that has the opportunity to take Colorado is going to take Colorado. Like they're not passing. And I don't know what their rules are, if you can pass an 8-win team for a 6-win team, all that stuff. But when the bowl gets a chance to take this Colorado team, they're going to take this Colorado team, because they know it's going to be eyeballs and fans.
And as you said with the at-larges, I don't know if there are any bowl games that are associated or affiliated with the American Conference that has American Conference versus at-large. I don't even recall if there is one.
Well, there's a lot of there's bowl games that are basically at-large versus at-large.
Yeah, but there's only so many American Conference teams that are going to make bowls, and they have contracts with the teams right now, with the bowls that have an association with the American. There's probably 7 bowl games that have American tie-ins. And I don't know how many teams are going to get 6 wins in the American Conference. So there's not going to be all these extra teams that could play in a bowl that has an at-large. That's all I'm saying.
This side of the program is brought to you by Acura of Memphis, located at Ridgeway at 385 and online at AcuraofMemphis.com. Great cars, great people, great experience. That's what you're going to get every single time from the folks at Acura of Memphis. Go by, take a test drive, talk to the folks over there, see what it's all about. Feel the Acura difference when you're taking a test drive in one of those beautiful automobiles. New vehicles, pre-owned vehicles, the certified pre-owned Acuras. You can find them all at Acura of Memphis. Again, on Ridgeway at 385 and online, where you can check out the entire inventory of pre-owned vehicles, get all kinds of information about all the different models of Acuras, as well as see any special deals they've got going on when you go to the website at AcuraofMemphis.com.
Talk a little baseball playoffs to wrap it up when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelch and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop, here on Sports 56, Real Sports Talk.
Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise East on Poplar may both be named Sunrise because they serve a fantastic breakfast. But sometimes you can't get to Sunrise for breakfast, and that's why it's important to remember that they both serve amazing lunches until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can get a perfect bacon cheeseburger, or the Dirty Bird sandwich with crispy fried chicken and buffalo sauce, or the fried green tomato BLT at either Sunrise location every day for lunch. When you think of Sunrise, you may think of breakfast, but when you think of lunch, throw in some Sunrise.
Begin your exciting career in broadcasting today. Jobs in advertising, sales, promotion, news, business administration, engineering, and more are available throughout the state. Find out about career opportunities by visiting the Tennessee Broadcasters Virtual Job Fair at broadcastersvirtualjobfair.com. Get information about opportunities available in the broadcast industry as well as specific positions here at Flynn Broadcasting Corporation. Apply online now to begin the process of establishing a career in Tennessee's exciting broadcast industry. Minorities and women are strongly encouraged to visit. Brought to you by Flynn Broadcasting Corporation at www.broadcastersvirtualjobfair.com.
Now, back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Acura of Memphis. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back. 9:50. Final segment here on Sports 56 Mornings. If you missed it earlier, 5 favorite things for tomorrow. Your topic for 5 favorite things. Your 5 favorite comedians who were in a television sitcom or drama. Your 5 favorite comedians who have been in a television sitcom or drama. Cannot use variety show. Cannot use Saturday Night Live or The Chappelle Show. But many, 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 many comedians over the years have starred in a drama or a comedy series. All right, baseball playoffs. Starting at 2 o'clock today, Texas, Tampa Bay. Then at 3:30, Toronto and Minnesota. Tonight, you got Arizona, Milwaukee at 6, Miami and Philadelphia at 7. These are best 2 of 3. And if they go the distance, they go to a third game, all 3 games are played at the team with the higher seed. So Philly, Tampa, Minnesota, Milwaukee have a big advantage here in the wild card series.
Yeah, this is the way these wild cards should be, unlike the stupid one game they used to do. They're playing a baseball series. This is how baseball's played the entire season. This is what you should do here. I mentioned it earlier, the Diamondbacks going with Brandon Pfaadt on the mound, who is 3-9 on the year with a 5.72 earned run average. Just weird when you see that for a Game 1 postseason starter. Now, he has pitched better recently in 2 of his last 3 starts. He did not allow a run, but you'll see, like, you're going down these guys, you're like, okay, like, you think, all right, you're coming with your best pitcher. This guy's 3-9 with a 5.72 earned run average going against Corbin Burns. Doesn't look good for the Diamondbacks for today, but as Dave Sampson mentioned, this is baseball. Weird things can happen. You never know for sure what's going to happen in a game to game. But that one just, I was like, wow, that dude is pitching Game 1 for the Diamondbacks. And they had to use pitchers over the weekend trying to get into the postseason. Although they did lose all of the games, they still got into the postseason. So they could have rested everybody and been just fine and still got in. But so they're in a bad situation where Milwaukee was able to set its rotation for this series, knowing that they were already in and they were going to be the 3 seed no matter what.
Brewers skipper Craig Counsell announcing that Brandon Woodruff will miss the wild card series with a right shoulder injury. Hopefully, for their sake, they don't need him.
Yeah, I would. Again, it goes to Corbin Burns got to take care of business in this game, and then you're set up beautifully as far as that is concerned. And if they could get Woodruff probably to come back either in Game 1 or Game 2 of the divisional series is where they would probably, if he's able to go. And I don't know how much longer they expect it to be before he's ready to go. He was supposed to pitch the Friday game against the Cubs. They ended up not pitching him in that one, so he's been off for quite a while now. I just don't know how much longer it's going to be.
So the numbers are in. The average time of a 9-inning Major League game this year dropped to 2 hours and 40 minutes in the first year of the pitch clock. It's a 24-minute decrease in a season of change that resulted in a spike in batting average and the most stolen bases in nearly 40 years. I knew the stolen bases and that record would be obliterated, or at least in the last 4 decades, because
the stolen base, the art of the stolen base has gone down, but now the bigger base, how many times you could throw over to first base, that type of stuff, that changed it. So they were stealing bases at a really, really good clip. But as far as the time is concerned, a drop of 24 minutes, I think that's something that most people are happy with.
Yeah, and attendance was up. Now, I don't know how much the rule changes affected the attendance, but attendance was up this year. I think 26 of the 30 teams had an increase in attendance this season. The overall increase in attendance was, I think, I can't remember what the percentage is, but there was a lot of good things as far as baseball is concerned. Again, I don't know if the rule changes led to the attendance increase or how much of an effect it had, but I think everybody likes the faster games. It's just, where I gotta find this number of the number of games that went over 3 hours, I think it was.
Big drop, I would imagine.
Oh, here, it's over 3 hours and 30 minutes. The percentage of games that went over 3 hours and 30 minutes last year, 2022, 10.5% of games. 2021, 18% of games were over 3.5 hours. This year, 0.4%.
Wow.
Like, you basically don't have 3.5 hour games anymore.
So it obviously worked.
When a year ago or 2 years ago, almost 1 in every 5 games was going over 3.5 hours.
Right. That's exactly what you need, is that clock, the pitch clock, being something that you saw it pay dividends. And that kind of stat right there absolutely paid dividends. By the way, we were talking about the Red River rivalry, which will take place between Texas and Oklahoma this weekend. For only the 5th time since 2005, Texas is the favorite. Texas won the past 4 games when they were favored in the Red River rivalry. So it seems like the odds makers who know an awful lot about that rivalry. They are a 6.5-point favorite, Texas is, over Oklahoma in this year's Red River rivalry. They did it in 22. So last year, where they were a 7-point favorite, 2009, 2006, and 2005. I didn't know they won the way they did last year. 49-0? My gosh.
Folks, Genesis Diamonds, if you haven't been there yet, you need to go check them out. If you're in looking at engagement rings, thinking, hey, it's about that time, want to get engaged, don't know how to go about doing it, well, go see the folks at Genesis Diamonds, because they're people there. They will educate you on diamonds, on buying diamonds, on what you're looking for, what's going to affect the prices, all of these different things. They're there to educate you when it comes to buying diamonds, not just try and get you to buy the most expensive diamond they can get. Folks who go over there to buy an engagement ring often go in with a budget and come out spending less than they were planning on spending and getting an even better diamond than they thought they could possibly get. Selection, value, and great service from non-commission salespeople. That's what you're going to find at Genesis Diamonds. They are located in the Poplar Commons Shopping Center. That's at Poplar and Perkins Extended. They're right there in the middle of that shopping center. Don't buy anywhere else when it comes to engagement rings, diamonds, any fine jewelry, even the pre-owned Rolex watches. The selection, the prices, and the service at Genesis Diamonds will blow you away. Go by, check them out. Again, Poplar Commons Shopping Center, Poplar and Perkins Extended.
That'll do it for us today. I want to thank our guests, Connor O'Gara, Memphis Tigers guard Carl Sharonfont, Dave Sampson from the Nothing Personal podcast, former Marlins president, and the head coach of the Rhodes Lynx football team, Rich Duncan. Again, thank you to all of them. If you missed our interview with Carl Sharonfont, it's up on the website at sportsmemphis.com. Just go to featured audio. We're back tomorrow, starting bright and early at 7 a.m. I will not be here, but Eli and Zach will. Jerry Palm will be here. He'll be here. He'll be over the phone, but Jerry Palm will be talking college football with Eli and Zach. DeMichael Cole, of course, on the Grizzlies. And again, 5 favorite things, your 5 favorite comedians who are in a television sitcom or drama. Coming up next, it's Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Once again, it's Stats. Brett Norsworthy sitting in for Dave Woloshin today. For Eli Savoy and for Zach Boyd, I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.